Yesterday's conspiracy theories, tomorrow's headlines. Most are still asleep and I ain't talking about no bedtime. The truth is not a Google search, you need to get your head right. The Greek goddess of illusion was called Media and I'm not a coincidence theorist, I look for thread lines. Smashing every deadline, no longer smashing red wine. Though I can hear the bells chime, it feels like the end times. That probably should have been smashed on red wine. But the carnal mind is foolish, obey and end up ghoulish. Don't get used by instinct, take control and learn to use it. Make a load of earnest music, earn a few quid, learn a few tricks. Sure, the truth is persecuted, this whole world is pure abusive. Know a bit about everything and everything about nothing. Figured out my noggin while you picture out shopping. You sit about watching while I dish it out, stop it. I don't mean to sound cocky, I'm not even proud of it. It's a second nature to me, just to be this out honest. I don't even need to sound honest, never been about profit. Everything but out on it, you can bet your house on it. Doubt I'll be out for the count when the sounds, and I'm down for the beat, no beat down. I mean, how long's it been? Help me out. I've been the only one who's held me down. All in the mind, hell freeze now. Still sick with it, healthy how? Few bars down and the world freaked out. I don't reach out, I seek out to speak out. I'ma recount the reasons they be out.
Hello. Welcome everybody to the 509 Divine Pines podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Daniel Pena. Thank you guys for being here on January 26th, 2026. Now, I need to plug in my headphones, so enjoy this for about 3 minutes.
Gonna go far, that's what we on the run for, go hard. Sipping gin while we sitting, spitting those bars. Getting rich, got a vision, get the show cards. Lot of money laying around cause we go hard, always go hard. Spitting fire, see the sonar, hope they resonate with the vibe. Feel like Mozart, really I'm alive in my soul, feel like Mozart. That's what hoes are, too explosive so I show art. Yeah, I make art, sad to see people with no heart. I work to replace all of the negative, I go far with it. I'ma show all of these bitches, no complaining if you with it. Don't you dream me, see the vision, need my energy, the mission. Really take all my precision, every single day I picture where I'll be the day we get it. Feed the brothers, feed the fam, I don't really give a damn. I don't wanna get famous, I wanna lend a hand. Give the cash and rubber bands to the people always standing on my side, always down the ride, say I planned it. I'm the guy, life is supersized on the planet. In my mind, I don't gotta try, I already have it. I'll be doing damage, I was born a savage. In my mind, I already died, living lavish. Heaven is a state of mind, be glad if you have it. Living in a simulation, be patient to grab it. Universe will bring it to you if you ain't an average. If you live an average and Satan found a manage your life. I'm just trying to tell you if you gonna roll the dice, gamble in your life instead of living precise. I ain't perfect, but I'm gonna earn it. No, it don't concern anybody but my person. Lesson that I learned is that people are gonna burn. Anything you do, they gonna pay the price. Nothing nice come in life for the dipshits. They just wish shit, never gonna manifest it. Never catch me resting, short-term blessings. I just want my brain to work so I can write my next hit. Ignite the blessings, manifest my life, never question a moment in my life. I be knowing that it's meant to be, this my destiny. All the rest of my life really history. The day that I'm finally gone, they'll be missing me. Your position be the reason that I'm gone. 200 songs done, I've been on the run. I ride a wave, make a way, I'm the one. I stay the same, but I'm changing a ton. Rearranging my brain for the gains through the sun. I've been absorbing the light, I could say that I won. At least I'm conscious of what I'm doing, praying a ton. Relay all the information, staying patient with the shit. I write a hit just to get through all the shit. I ain't a bitch, so I'll make it. I ain't dealing with the prick, I'm finna take over the game. Really, I'm getting in. I'm really glad that you're here to witness it. I'm about to fix entire rap game. You could call it magic, like a trick. Classic with the way I spit it. It be clapping when it hits. I be snapping on this shit. I've been rapping, feeling lit. I'm
All right, I apologize on that. Not only did I have to plug in my mic, but I also had to plug in my headphones and my mic and reset it. So thank you guys for staying tuned, and believe this is on. So we are live now. Yes, January 2026. Um, yes, this is an amazing year, man. We are headed off into a wild time. There's a lot of things happening around the world. There's a lot of moving parts. People don't really know how to handle this. There's the war in Venezuela, the war Israel. We just got done with the Ukraine war. We now are in this monetary conundrum. Gold and silver are on the rise. BTC crypto seems to be steady, moving down and up, down and up, down and up. People aren't really too sure about its future being linked to CBDC and these big time banks. But we do see hope. There's always hope. The hope is that once we ground ourselves, we see that we will be able to live a more fulfilled life than the rest of society that's seemingly losing it. So, we have potential to, just be in solid ground while the rest of the world has its roots loose. Let's go ahead and get into today's news. Well, it's not today's news. Apologize. This is like the last few months and just some things that I've been uncovering, brushing up on a lot of topics that needed to be hit. So let's go ahead and get into this. Um, oh, I had to full screen this. So Kenneka Jank from years ago. Yeah, this is wild. So let's go ahead and get into this. Seemingly slow internet today, just wild.
When I get rich, you gonna see how much I love you, okay? What? The fuck? I'm just saying, I got no look. I'm just saying.
A settlement is reached in Kenneka Jenkins' wrongful death lawsuit. She was found dead in a walk-in freezer at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Rosemont back in 2017.
They had the money. I don't have no money. You know, I'm getting calls saying, where the money at? They told us you had the money. I said, I didn't never touch nobody money. Okay.
Her on the video at 3:20 a.m.
When I get rich, you gonna see how much I love you, okay?
Wild, right? So, Kenneka Jenkins was found dead in a murder. Her mom was paid $3.7 million to stay silent. It gets very weird. There's a long Instagram post, and it gets very detailed, and just makes you wonder, why are people doing this? Kenneka Jenkins' mom was a member of the Eastern Star. Freemasonry, pretty much. So she was a Freemason, as well as Trayvon Martin's father and George Zimmerman and his father. Trayvon Martin's father was a 33rd degree Mason. It goes on that there's more to this. So Brian Harpole, Freemason. Brian Harpole, Charlie Security. Let's go ahead and play this clip. Uh-oh. So, seemingly, all the people who are involved in these mainstream murders that are shaking society, you know, I don't want to say all of them, but school shootings, mass shootings, racial shootings, even some of these ICE events, Charlie's event. Why does it always seem that they have 33-degree Freemasons involved in this ritual? They call it. That's what they call it. They call it rituals. Here's George Zimmerman, the man that allegedly killed Trayvon. Look at his hands. That's a Freemason. His dad is a Freemason, right? So he's a Freemason. They are all in it together. That's why, like, the story kind of got silenced. Oh, look at here's Trayvon Martin's dad again. District Grandmaster. He doesn't look like a happy man. He looks like he's had to do a whole bunch of stuff to get to where he's at. Man, that sucks. When you take the oath, you are prepared for your children to be used for part of your work. Soon, you're going to break, this post. Trayvon Martin was sacrificed by his stepfather, who's a 33. Wow, his stepfather. That's horrible, man. Ooh. Yeah. You know, I think when you see time and time again that these Freemasonic families who are in these weird oaths and weird costumes and stuff, like, they're involved in some dark stuff. I think there's a story to be told, or a story to be found, and why they are like that, and how long they've been like that, and what they think. We don't have to think like them, but we could just see, though, that they are thinking upon a radical demonic spirit or nature, right? So we can just analyze and be like, yo, these guys are a little off the hook. We see these celebrity rappers and the things they do, a little off the hook. Not in a good way. Diddy, not in a good way. R. Kelly, not in a good way. Ooh, man, it's just rough in what they do, why they do it. Just to give you a little fun fact, in a Masonic ritual, and I forgot what Masonic, what order, what cult it is. There's some cult. One of the rituals is peeing on people, and R. Kelly was notorious for that, and he had free Mason friends who were guiding him the whole way, which is how he got to where he was at. And that's what people don't realize about that little R. Kelly thing. He was performing rituals with people. That's why, like, he had people under a spell. It was weird. But that's how these celebrities, these weird dark occultists think. They're trying to do rituals every day with, their Travis Scott with his Astro World. I mean, the stuff that David Blaine does, even in a sense, is somewhat ritualistic. If anybody watches David Blaine, whew, that's some darkness. That dude must be a Mason or something. Anyways, we're going forward. We are gonna go ahead and start tackling Venezuela and something that maybe is gonna tell a bigger picture about why we are there. Because literally, what they're telling you is just not the full truth. Um, there's definitely a lot of things that the archaeologists. Oh my god, I said that so funny. Well, these archaeologists have been saying. I've been listening to them. These book writers, these historians, the people who are actually going down into these temples, these sites, and going across the world and collecting data and matching it and wondering, like, okay, there's definitely more to this story. Let's get into it. This is from the Michael Sala podcast. I've been listening to Michael Sala for a while. I just came across this clip though, so it's new to me. I just listened to it recently, but George Pabon, a U.S. Army veteran, revealed ancient structures recently found in Venezuela. This helped explain why the Trump administration is so intent on removing the Maduro regime, which is sharing its resources and discoveries with the Chinese. Ooh, yeah. That's this.
Now, it's interesting that you mentioned Venezuela, that they discovered some structures or some ancient technologies in Venezuela, because that would explain why the US is so interested now in, let's just say, getting into Venezuela.
The south part of Venezuela, they found these structures inside their type of rainforest. And these structures, they look like pyramids, but they're really deep. They're really deep, similar to the structures they found under the Egyptian pyramids. They found major structures under the Venezuela, South Venezuela, and they're trying to keep that from the public. But I don't think that's going to be kept soon when they find out, or either the Venezuelans, they're going to let that information out, or the United States will let that information out. And apparently, it has a lot of gold or something like that, a lot of different metals there in Venezuela.
What do you think is down there? How much do you think is down there? What do you think? Oh shit! I'm sorry. I'm trying to manage this through my phone, and sometimes I get that feedback. Right here, I'm gonna try to get this translated for you guys. Where's the translate button? Fuck. So let's go ahead. Open this up. I'm gonna read the translation. I could just do this. What am I talking about? What? I should have been able to. Here, Leo AI tools. Summarize. Boom. So on the right side with the Brave app, we have Leo AI, which is the AI built into the Brave app, so you can like use it automatically. What it says: an Anglo-Colombian archaeological team has spent 10 years studying monumental prehistoric petroglyphs found along a 90-kilometer stretch of the Orinoco River between Colombia and Venezuela. Some of the ancient rock art pieces are remarkably large. measuring up to 42 meters in size. So imagine that, guys. 42 meters for this stone. Hold on, just, a meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, 5, 10, 42. That's really high. And it's one piece of stone and multiple pieces of stone that are all one piece. It's almost like uh Sacsayhuamán and these other places around the world that have megalithic type structures and stones that are like built into, like Angkor Wat over there in Indonesia or the Philippines or somewhere along those areas. We are gonna go up down now. Here is more. So there is artifacts being discovered in Venezuela. And what this says right here, I just translate it. I apologize. Hold on. Jeez. I just don't want to try to read it in case it's in like a different non-Spanish native language. You know what I mean? Whatever. A research team discovered possible prehistoric ivory tools in Venezuela that could be more than 10,000 years old. The finding was published yesterday in the scientific journal Paleo America, and the artifacts were on display in the Taratara Museum located in Falcon, Venezuela. 10,000-year-old tools. Those look ancient. Wow. Pretty wild, guys. So we keep on finding tools from 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 years, 100,000 years ago, and tools from educated humans. When they tell you that humans were dumb and we came from caves and we didn't know squat, that's only like 5% of humans. There's still a whole 95% of like humans in history that they're not trying to tell you about. And we are discovering in the artifacts, though. Now, check this out. When Maria Corina Machado says that in Venezuela there is a spiritual struggle, she is absolutely right. Recently, I saw a video from the Venezuela YouTuber showing cemetery in Caracas. There were no remains. The majority. Let me get this post. Oh shoot. I think if I click show more, it's gonna open up not just the whole thing, but it'll click me to the whole post, separate page. So might as well just do that manually. Interesting how we see that all around the world, archaeological discoveries are about to change our reality. So, in the cemetery, majority of the graves were desecrated. Chavez popularized a religion of Cuban origin, Palo Mayombe. In fact, many people close to Palo Mayombe claim that Hugo Chavez ordered the desecration of Simon Bolivar's tomb to perform rituals with the remains of the liberator. I'm not religious, far from it, but I do believe in energies, and I believe in the country that where these practices abound, the country falls into misfortune. Cuba, Haiti, and Venezuela are three countries where Palo Mayombe, Santeria, spiritualism, they're right, and witchcraft gain prominence, and they are the most miserable countries in the Americas. That's true. And of course, in Venezuela, the authorities do nothing because the Grand Master of Palo Mayombe was Nicolas Maduro. Check this out. So if you guys didn't know, Nicolas Maduro, the man that we just captured, was an actual Grand Master of a witchcraft cult in Venezuela. They were performing witchcraft rituals in the streets. And
Edwin Espalero. cementerio habla con los muertos. Les pide permiso antes de entrar. Rompe la losa, la levanta, continúa con la segunda capa, hasta que encontramos el ataúd y el cuerpo. Se extraen sus restos, se vuelve a hablar con él. Las ofrendas, se trasladan sus huesos.
Un culto donde nosotros, los humanos, tenemos una conexión más allá con los seres, que son los fundamentos, los enfumbes, que son los muertos.
A la noche asistimos a una ceremonia donde se venera a los muertos, se baila, incluso encima de las llamas, y se habla a través de los muertos. Los paleros utilizan el poder de los muertos, los veneran. Una religión que en tiempos convulsos gana adeptos.
Man, it must be wild to be from a country where witchcraft is like straight out in the open. More to Venezuela. These wonderful hunting tools, possibly from the late Pleistocene, come from the Venezuela Orinoco, made of red jasper and quartz. These wonderful hunting tools, possibly from the late Pleistocene, come from the I don't know why it doubled. Pretty fascinating arrowheads. These are not normal arrowheads. You don't find these over here in North America. These are freaking old red jasper and quartz. These are made out of stone and gems. You know how fine how fine the culture has to be to do this. You don't see this these days. We're gonna go forward. New archaeological map. Monumental rock engravings in Venezuela and Colombia depict giant snakes, human figures, and giant Amazonian centipedes, suggesting that they were created to signal the territorial boundaries of the prehistoric inhabitants. So the rocks that we seen earlier, these are what's drawn on them. Ancient drawings from 10,000 years ago, nearly. Pretty much showing human, UFO, horn creature, wing creature, more wing creatures, giant spider, monkey, giant eagle, bat, and it's horrible drawings, but whatever. I'll give them credit because they're drawing on rock. We're gonna keep going. More on Venezuela.
Vivió hace más de 100 millones de años en la región. Ya va, ¿cómo que descubrieron un fósil de ictiosaurio en Venezuela? ¿Y esto no es un dinosaurio? Pues no, los ictiosaurios no son dinosaurios, sino que son reptiles marinos. Y este que descubrieron vivió hace más de 100 millones de años en la región andina de nuestro país. Y es la primera vez que se registra un ictiosaurio en Venezuela. ¿Qué tal? Esto es importantísimo para poder entender la vida marina en Sudamérica en el periodo Cretácico. Pero ya va, ¿cómo que se encontró en Táchira, en la zona de los Andes, si esta es una zona montañosa? ¿Cómo es que un animal marino llegó hasta allá? ¿Cómo es la cosa? Bueno, ahora sí es una zona montañosa, pero hace millones de años no. De hecho, era un mar de poca profundidad y esto lo demuestran los estudios que se hicieron en ese lugar.
Nos encontramos en el estado Táchira, en una alianza entre Fundacite Táchira, el Museo Antropológico y Arqueológico del Táchira, el IBIC y la Universidad Nacional Experimental de Francisco de Miranda, en una prospección paleontológica a las localidades donde se han encontrado en el pasado los restos de dinosaurios como la Quintasauro y Tachiraptor. Estas especies fueron descritas anteriormente y son uno de los dinosaurios que se han encontrado más al norte de América del Sur.
Un bloque de arenisca, ¿verdad? Podría ser arenisca blanca.
Pero también visitamos unas localidades de la formación La Luna, que es Cretácico, donde estas formaciones tienen concreciones, donde en su interior hay restos también de peces y otros organismos.
Pero eso no fue lo único que encontraron, porque en esa misma expedición lograron recuperar un diente de un dinosaurio que habitaba en Venezuela, la Quintasaura venezuelae, que es el primer dinosaurio que se registra para nuestro país. Yo no sé si tú lo sabías, pero ya tenemos 2 dinosaurios descritos para Venezuela, la Quintasaura venezuelae y el Tachiraptor. ¿Cómo no se va a llamar Tachiraptor, por favor? Yo quiero felicitar a todo el equipo que hizo posible este descubrimiento. Yo tuve la fortuna de acompañarlos en Urumaco. Es una de las regiones con una biodiversidad paleontológica impresionante que muestra la historia de nuestro país desde hace millones de años. Y realmente necesitan de nuestro apoyo porque esto es parte de la historia de Venezuela y todavía no se sabe mucho sobre eso. No saben la cantidad de fósiles que vimos y que encontramos y que todavía no han sido descritos. Tenemos una riqueza paleontológica en nuestro país que vale la pena conocer y vale la pena proteger estas zonas para que se sigan haciendo descubrimientos como estos. Y ya que tenemos el Tachiraptor, ¿qué nombre le pondrías tú a este nuevo ictiosaurio que se descubrió? ¿Y tú sabías que habían dinosaurios descritos para Venezuela? Hay muchas personas que no conocen esto. Por eso te pido que compartas este video, porque la historia paleontológica de Venezuela vale la pena conocerla.
A crazy thing about these dinosaurs that they speak of, right? When we look back into the ancient past, into our ancient scripts, the Bible, or you know, everything from the past, these quote dinosaurs unquote, they actually in the past were told to be like the beasts of renown, and fallen angel, like offsprings, the offspring and or the ancestors of you know uh our creatures, our animals now, the pretty much giant versions, right? They would be these hybrid creations that the Greeks would talk about. When they talk about minotaurs and centaurs and dragons and different things, like that's what dinosaurs would be. So pretty much the term dinosaurs is like a blanket term. Anything, I believe that they're trying to say anything that's like beyond 5,000 to 3,000 years ago, and they're just like, oh, dinosaur, 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 unless it's human. And then they're like, caveman. And so, you see this modern academia, the Smithsonian, you see this modern academia try to whitewash history. They try to destroy, demystify, despiritualize humanity, despiritualize communities. It's part of our past that all of this exists, but it's up to us to look for it or to be aware of it, that where we come from is a far more ancient, intelligent species than what this mainstream academia wants to let you know. So here's more of the drawings on the rock. Very, very, very fascinating. This looks crazy. I mean, that whole like SpongeBob Doodle Bob right there, just 100%. They're all doodle bobbing. Here's more. Ancient bone arrowheads in Argentina reveal how prehistoric families organized sophisticated craft production over 700 years ago. So these are different arrowheads. They look way different. Pretty fascinating. Here's this is you know what? This is the first time I'm actually listening to this. I reposted this because I was gonna play and listen to it. So let's check this out. This is a conspiracy time. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Here, check this out. Nicolas Maduro, the sock puppet.
Are you guys even trying anymore? I mean, you saw the news on this guy, right? This guy who just looks suspiciously like Mr. Weapons of Mass Destruction, which don't exist, by the way. Yeah, there are big bombs, but not ones that will blow up the entire Earth. But let's focus on this. Why don't we start at the good old symmetry test before we get to the good old smoking gun? Looks pretty symmetrical. Eyebrows, eyes, even the hairline, the mustaches, and they seem to even have... That's a scar. That's not a forehead line. That's a scar that seems to be pretty similar to the one right here. And it looks like there was something else there. And well, you can't have the same dent in your head, so let's fill it and just put a mole on top. Cover it up with a mole. They'll never notice. Do you want to see the real thing? The real? Here you go. Oh, but before we get there, maybe you notice their chins. They're a little different, right? We got a butt chin and then a little crease in the chin. Well, yeah, it's real hard to snip and tuck. And I mean, chin augmentation is a thing, right? But I don't think it's that, because I think they're shapeshifters. But we'll get back to shapeshifting in a second, right after I show you these nice little pyramid facial markings. Do you see those? 1, 2, 3, and 1 and a 2 and a 3. And I'll make sure I circle them for you, just for some of you that might not be able to see as well. You see, he had 3 very noticeable marks, and they were probably removed or he shape-shifted, and now they're still there, but they're just a little bit more faint. But hold on, there's more. If we just move on down his face, and we'll get to that one in a second, but let's look at these, because you can see right in relation to the mustache, right there. And then you can see there's a little mark that used to be there, and yeah, you see those? That's a hole there, and they added a mole, because they do both. They do both. But of course, all this is for entertainment purposes, people. I don't really think that all the former political leaders and all the people on the TV and all the people
when they
in
said
the
they're
music
vampires,
industry are shape-shifting fallen angels who can age,
sense,
reduce,
right?
and live a lot longer than you and I. And if you think that's crazy, go find that video of mine. And there's a part 2 coming real soon. Entertainment only.
Not gonna lie, it's kind of hard to disprove that, man. When they show you a side by side of Saddam Hussein and Maduro, and there's matching markings like to the T, and they show you a side by side double of his wife, and they're matching to like the T. It's strange because that the witness protection program likes to body double or what do they call it? No, they replicate identities, so they double their identities. These CIA agents and military leaders, these I don't even know, these actors, they call them, these politicians, whatever they are, they do like multiple identities. It's like a James Bond type thing that they all do. Remember, there's always those pictures coming out over the last like 5 years where these politicians are being caught going to raves, and they're trying to like play it off and kind of dress different, hide different, be different, but then like everyone figures them out and like sees their weird shenanigans. Very, very interesting. I think maybe they are possibly vampires, reptilians, clones, or they definitely just doing the whole double identity and triple identity. Man, it's one or the other, right? It's a mystery. It's a conspiracy. It is a conundrum. We are looking at this ancient-origins.net post about is Mount Roraima really a lost world in Venezuela where dinosaurs may still exist? We are going to pull this article up. So let me go ahead and switch this out for everybody. So what we got in Venezuela is real deal, like trippy, because That mountain, they call it, is literally what everybody in I don't know how to say it. The people who study, so these researchers, even ancients, or shamans, or people from these areas, they say that this was an ancient tree. So Mount Royorama, this right here, this plateau, this what you think is just a flat piece of land, was an ancient tree. You can kind of see it as like a tree trunk, right? And just slowly it's kind of breaking off. Like you can see that there was it's just very interesting, right? When you look at like the tale of uh Paul Bunyan, right? Paul Bunyan being this like huge, strong, giant type and chopping down the trees. Even in is it the book of Isaiah, where I apologize if it is not the book of Isaiah, but it is in the Bible, where they talk about like there were mighty trees, and ancient stories, and stories from cultures around the world talk about the ancient trees that used to exist, and the time that they were all chopped down by the giants, on order of some deity or demon, or god or something like that. It was told that all the trees were needed to be chopped down, and so we don't have the giant trees that are um referenced in animes and referenced in movies, the mighty tree, Dragon Ball Z, and um Sword Art Online, and these different places, different uh different things that reference a giant centerpiece, or a giant heaven, or giant heaven to earth type of connection, where like these trees used to connect to the heaven, supposedly. uh the older we go back in history, and the tales, pretty fascinating. So here is the article. Deep within the rainforest of Venezuela, a series of plateaus sit more than 9,000 feet above sea level and rise above 1,300 feet from the surrounding terrains like tabletops. From above, they look like islands in the sky. These are the Tipuas, a Pimon Indian word for mountain, the most famous of which is called Mount Roraima. The Tipuas are so unique in their geography that thousands of plant species exist nowhere else on the planet except on top of those plateaus, they say. The mystical mountains fascinated explorers and writers for centuries, most notably Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who described an ascent of Mount Roraima in his 1912 novel, The Lost World. In Doyle's novel, a group of explorers found that dinosaurs and other extinct species were still alive and well on the remote plateaus. Some people today still believe this is a real possibility. Once impenetrable to all but the indigenous people, Mount Roraima was really a lost world. The mountain plateaus were already established when South America was linked with Africa to form the supercontinent Gondwana, meaning they were first formed perhaps 400 to 250 million years ago. During this time, molten rock forced its way up through the cracks in the sandstone landmass. At the time, wind and water swept across Gondwana to erode the raised highlands into the mountain ranges. The region would come to look much like it does now, around 20 million years ago, because of the mountains have been isolated for so long atop their high, lonely plateaus. The flora and fauna of the mountains provide an organic illustration of the process of evolution. It is guessed that at least half of the estimated 10,000 plant species here are unique to the mountains and surrounding lowlands. New species are still being discovered, George wrote in 1989. Although all of the Tipuys mountains have been climbed, only a few have been extensively explored. Could this mean that supposedly extinct species, even dinosaurs, still may exist up there? The Roraima plateaus are so remote and unique that it is not so difficult to imagine Sir Arthur Conan Doyle creating a world alive with prehistoric plants and dinosaurs in his novel, The Lost World. Doyle was fascinated with the accounts of the British botanist Edward Im Thurm, who climbed to the top of Mount Roraima in December 1884, ascending Mount Roraima in 1989 for the National Geographic Society. German explorer Uwe George said, "None of us who followed Im Thurm to Roraima have found primordial creatures or their fossil remains there, but the terrain is so difficult that only a fraction of the mountain's 44 square miles have been fully explored. Since his writing, more of the mountain has been investigated. Unsurprisingly, no traces of dinosaurs have been found." Well, that's funny that they just say it, how only a fraction of the 44 square miles. They don't really tell you how much. Probably for a reason. Prior to the arrival of the Europeans, the natives of Venezuela viewed the mountains as having special mythical significance. According to the Pimon Indians, Mount Roraima is the stump of a mighty tree that once held all the fruits and tuberous vegetables in the world. However, it was felled by one of their ancestors. The tree crashed to the ground, unleashing a terrible flood. They believe that if a person ascended to the top of the tepues, he or she would not come back alive. Climbing the mountains is exceedingly difficult and is made all the more frequent rains, making it harder. So there's a rocky footpath, slippery and muddy because of all the rain. The first European explorers to write about the mountains was Sir Walter Raleigh in 1595. He wrote of a crystal mountain covered with diamonds and waterfalls. "There falleth over a mightieth river that toucheth no part of the side of the mountain, but falleth to the ground with a terrible noise and clamor, as if 1,000 great bells were knocked one against another. But what if I had not known? Neither durst or he or any of his men ascended to the top of said mountain. Those people adoring me, being his enemies as they were, and the way to it was so impossible. There was a good chance that Sir Raleigh was describing Angel's Fall, so named the mid-20th century American Jimmy Angel, who named it, who was the first person to fly over the area. Angel Falls were recently discovered in Disney's Up. Oh, shit. I love that movie. Oh, whoa. So that's based on these Paradise Falls in the movie Up are 100% based on the Angel Falls of Mount Roraima. Whoa. You know, what's fascinating about these Disney movies, even though like Disney as an identity is a bit trippy to like study, and Walt Disney is a bit dark himself, there's a lot of history that it is said to be mythical, right here. Oh, it's just animation, just a cartoon. But there's a lot of truth to the history behind it. I mean, Hercules wasn't just a mythical person, supposedly. Like, that dude supposedly really existed. So, there's some aspects to what these big time companies and organizations show us in the movies and stuff that are real. Wow. Today's travelers may not stumble upon dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures. They will be able to see black frogs and tarantulas that exist nowhere on the planet except Mount Roraima. Oh, hey, I want to go watch the movie Up now. It'll probably make me cry just a little bit, but it makes everybody cry. And if that movie don't make you cry, you ain't got feelings, man. You got no heart. Shameless, heartless. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing with y'all. Let's go. Keep on going. So here, I'm not gonna like show the patent, read the patent, because it's a whole bunch of just mumbo jumbo as far as going line by line and describing the patent. So I'm just gonna summarize it. Here's another patent that everyone should be warned about. There's an active U.S. patent assigned to Wells Fargo that describes smart dust. micro electromechanical sensors that can be released, suspended in air, and used. So, a bank has a patent to smart dust, smart particles that can be dropped from a plane and inhaled. So, why does a bank want particles that can be inhaled? Well, it can be used to collect data for identity authentication during payments. According to the patent description, these sensors can collect and transmit things like biometric indicators, heart rate, pulse, blood pressure, body temperature, height, weight, audio data, optical data, including capturing images for facial recognition, motion, pressure, temperature, even electromagnetic field data. It explicitly discusses the sensors being activated when a payment is attempted, then used to authenticate the person based on a user profile. So here are the questions we think everyone should be willing to ask without hysteria, without speculation, or without denial. If systems like this are being patented for commerce, what else is being developed under similar frameworks without our knowledge? What does consent look like when sensors can be suspended in air to collect biometrical data? How do we verify what data is being collected, where it's stored, and who is accessing it? What happens when the public is being told that it is impossible or not real, while the patents clearly describe the capability? Well. Remember that patent that came out from Bill Gates and Microsoft? It was like patent 060606, and it stated there could be a chip planted in us that tracks our data and gives us cryptocurrency, or can manipulate our cryptocurrency based on our movement or health or whatever. So that's kind of what they wanted for the future of us, but I don't think it's going to work. Like, I think that this AI that they are creating, that they created, has gotten too smart to make these things happen just for us. Meaning, like, the elite are in trouble themselves if they try to implement AI. Let's just say AI robots to, uh, put us all under this smart dust type of control. Like, undoubtedly, I would. It's not even I would think. It's these AIs and these robots and these things would instantly flip on the elite themselves. And that's kind of why we're not seeing a full unleashed, like with robots. Maybe here one or two here, three there. It's kind of more controlled because we know that all of those one or two or three are remote operated, and they say it all the time. Even when Elon Musk showcased his Optimus robots, he even mentioned, yeah, these are remote operated. Anyways, moving forward. Oh, look at here's Maduro's Freemason wife with the black eye. Yes, the famous black eye. The Illuminati black eye. So here's an article in Spanish. I'm not gonna read it, but I'll also read here some of it. Chavismo and witchcraft, Santeria, and they go hand in hand. Maduro's wife is supposedly a witch. The tomb was a concrete block to prevent theft, and thousands of other crazy stories. The body in the tomb had to be destroyed so that a Chavismoso wouldn't be reborn from his. Yeah, I did hear something about this. I'm not gonna lie, and this was similar to this. Could be along the same uh, uh, lines of operation where these guys are breaking into tombs, doing rituals at these sites, and trying to bring about a devil. Chavismo wouldn't be reborn from his bones, literally. Yeah. So Maduro's wife was trying to reborn a witchcraft doctor, Satanist. Here's more. I believe.
Y que nos perdones por todo el daño que te hemos causado, por toda la contaminación que te hemos hecho. Te pedimos que guíes a nuestros ministros, a nuestras ministras, a todos los que van a contender en la Suprema Corte de Justicia de la Nación, y que nosotros como pueblos y comunidades siempre acompañemos. Te pedimos, Madrecita Tonantzin, que así como nos das, nos alimentas, nos cuidas y nos guías, nos ayudes para en este momento y nos des la fuerza necesaria a todos los que estamos en este momento conectados en el universo,
I don't know what they're saying.
para que podamos seguir caminando como hermanos.
I don't want to say this is extremely like dark, but it's just strange, isn't it? Oh, like it's just other people's cultures. Well, shit, they try to say that about the Zionists, but these Zionists are doing things worse than Diddy. So at some point, it's like, hey man, what's the truth of that culture?
Ahora sí, la fuerza al universo, a nuestro gran Quetzalcóatl. Levantemos la mano, hermanos, y pidamos con toda la fuerza desde nuestro ser espiritual, nuestro pensamiento, nuestra fuerza del universo, de este universo cósmico, que hoy nos permite que sigamos este cambio que ya era necesario, este cambio que ya era justo para que nuestros pueblos y comunidades indígenas y el pueblo afromexicano a nivel nacional, a nivel mundial, pues se pueda llevar a cabo. Gran Quetzalcóatl, gran dador de vida, que emanas la fuerza del universo, te pedimos que nos des la fuerza necesaria y que nos conectemos, que nuestras raíces están vivas, que nuestra fuerza sigue existiendo. Caminemos por este gran poder del gran Quetzalcóatl, y que pues guíen nuestros pasos, nuestro pensamiento, y caminemos como hermanos en la humildad, en la fraternidad, en el compromiso que hoy asumen nuestras ministras y nuestros ministros.
The strange things that they're wearing.
Por la cual, digamos, es decir, estamos viendo la caída de un dictador, pero más fuerte todavía, y digamos, si es la línea por la cual, digamos, Estados Unidos hace esta operación, es porque es un narcoterrorista. Es decir, es un narcoterrorista que tiene conexiones profundas, por ejemplo, con el Partido Socialista Español, con Podemos. O sea, ha tenido interferencias electorales en Argentina, en Colombia, en México y Bolivia. Sí, digamos, además tiene como fuentes de ingresos el narcotráfico, que básicamente deriva del cartel de los soles.
Fascinating stuff. I mean, we're seeing more and more and more about all of this. So President Maduro from Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez pretty much brought him up and helped him get to where he was at. But hey, man, that's all of them. All of these guys practice some type of witchcraft. Check this out. So we're moving forward. This is from 9 years ago on November 2nd, 2015. Pretty much. This is by Erica Kirk's father. It is a trip. So it's like a FEMA video and like telling people to survive. And it's I'm not gonna watch it because I don't want it. It's just a weird thing. Weird video. I mean, like, it's just pictures of random people, random things, 100%, and it says they are survivors too. Just strange stuff. It has to do with the whole, Erica, her dad and her mom are like super Mossad Zionist fed. Well, bans large institutional investors from buying up single family homes. Not the biggest fan of Trump, but I am a big fan of this move because now the housing market probably will take a little bit of relief. Because Blackstone and these huge institutional investors were gobbling up the market and literally ruining us, ruining everybody's housing contracts and just manipulating the market. Now we're gonna see relief here, but check this out. We're gonna keep on going through the videos that I have on Twitter. Here's the Green Berets that seized Maduro.
A security guard that was protecting Maduro has spoken, and you got to hear what he said. It's in Spanish, but I'll translate. Also, Trump announced that, the cartels, they're going after him in Mexico. The whole vibe of Latin America has changed because of what happened in Venezuela. And now that we're getting firsthand accounts from people that were there, the soldier says they didn't hear him coming. He says the Americans had technology superior to anything they've ever seen. Everything that they were using for radar, for anything, was completely taken offline. They had drones, and the drones were taking out bases and taking out things faster. They didn't have no technology. They've never had to fight against drones. He also talks about that there was only 8 helicopters. There was only 20 men that were sent in. And those 20 men killed hundreds of their men, and none of those soldiers were injured. He talks about it felt like they were firing 300 rounds a minute. Nothing they've ever seen, nothing that they can compete with. And then he also talks to the fact that the Americans had some kind of sonic shock boom that was sent out, and everybody immediately started bleeding profusely out of their nose. They couldn't even gather themselves because whatever was sent at them made them fall to their knees and vomit blood out of their mouth and out of their noses. They were incapacitated immediately. He says he never wants to go through that again, doesn't want to have to fight with the Americans again. He's sending warnings to everybody out there that you think you can fight the Americans. You don't even know what their weaponry is like and what they're capable of. 20 men took out hundreds, and that's starting to spread all through Latin America. And now they're not saying, if you want me, come and get me anymore. They're like, oh shit. Especially after Trump says, hey, Mexico, you're on the list too.
They literally did just take down that Ryan Wedding cocaine trafficker, and they found him. I don't even know how they found him. They found him like near Bolivia or something, or they had he had ties with Bolivia because of the account. I don't know. It's a trippy connection. Here is Dolores Barrios. She was rumored to be an extraterrestrial from Venus. One reporter later said she was a fashion designer from New York. She was an average woman who found herself in the most extraordinary claims of the 20th century. Her life changed forever after that. Photos of El Castillo Pyramid in the ancient Mayan city of Chichen Itza, taken in 2009 by Hector Silizar. Silizar was stunned to see a beam of light shooting up into the sky from the top of the pyramid. And these beams of light are also reported in the pyramids of Bolivia. Is it Bolivia? Yeah, I believe. Over there with what is his name? Dr. Sam Osmanagic. So the pyramids where Dr. Sam Osmanagic is studying. I'm pretty sure. I think it's Bolivia. If not, I'm getting a country mixed up with a B, but pretty sure. Same pyramids. Some pyramids are all around the world. So hundreds of countries have pyramids. It's just like most of them are either broken or grown over or protected or hidden or out in the open. And so pyramids around the world are known to do this because, as when they say there's a conspiracy of pyramids being energy complexes, it's not a conspiracy. It's more truth. It's just, the mainstream academia wants to demystify everything and they don't want to tell you the truth. We're going to go up. Just a quick recap. Israeli tourists have been caught and thrown in jail for causing huge fires in Argentina in a forest full of natural resources. Pretty wild. Oh, here's a little conspiracy. Let's get into this. Justin Bieber music video, frame by frame.
Creep on in, on in.
Look at this. Demonic, in a sense. Hold on, what did it say right there? Let me go back. Let's see what it says. I seen the thought who could. I seen them dancing and they thought they were too insane, but those who could not hear the music. Oh, he's talking about the devils. He sees the devils. Holy shit. Yo, Justin Bieber is yo, man. Justin Bieber is old. So yeah, when you look at Justin Bieber's videos, right, you see the yummy video, you see all these strange videos of him. Like he was one of the childs that was put in the industry to become someone. His parents literally sold him to B. Diddy and Usher for money. The ownership, to take care of him, that's why he was sleeping over at Diddy's house. It's crazy. It's wild. It is. It's sad. It's very, 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 very sad, man. It's the fire in Argentina.
Que nos prendan fuego a la Patagonia. Sabemos que es a propósito, lo tenemos recontra en claro que hay poderes que están del lado, tienen un interés inmobiliario, tienen interés minero, y es algo que ya últimamente lo hacen en nuestra cara y ni siquiera lo disimulan. No tienen nada, o sea, no lo disimulan porque tienen todo de su lado. Estamos sorprendidos de que nos prendan fuego a la Patagonia.
Kind of sucks. Kind of sucks. They do have a lot of power, but fuck them guys, straight up. They can't take us over. They don't even like God. They don't even like Christ the same way we do. But we ain't gonna stand down.
Fire as a joke. Since the 6th of January, Argentina has been experiencing one of its largest forest fires to date. 2 Israeli IDF soldiers went to go visit Argentina, end up in a forest, starting a fire as a joke, and this was the result. Now, you'll see a lot of posts talking about how the police are in pursuit, how the government is upset about what took place. But let me tell you something. The government is probably in on it. Over the last several years, Milei has passed policies that have stripped protections away from forests. Specifically, protections that would have disallowed the sale of any forest that was burned after a wildfire for 60 plus years. In that same time frame in 2023, Milei loosened up limits on foreign ownership of rural land, especially in the Patagonia and other strategic areas. And he specifically said it was to promote changes to the land and law and forest laws so that foreign private sectors can buy, burn rural land and alter its productive use for far sooner than the previous 30 to 60 year limit. And Milei was very clear already. This is a gift to land developers. And the area that you saw burned is one of the most beautiful areas in all of Argentina. The two Israelis responsible for this were able to get away. They're on the run. They haven't been caught. And they probably never will be caught because let's be honest, Milei let them there to do a job. They weren't breaking the law. They were handling business. They were there. That was a work trip is what I'm telling you. In this way, Milei gets to keep his hands clean so that he doesn't have to deal with the blowback he received when he sent troops into indigenous lands in these protected forests to get them out just several months ago. This way, it just all looks like an accident. And private developers can still make their money. And Israelis have a new vacation spot, just like Milei always wanted. Let's keep it real, Argentinians. There's no way you saw your president touch this wall like this, and you thought that those Israelis were going to be held accountable.
Yeah. So, ooh, I wonder if I have the picture here. Milei Kowski. Milei is actually related to Netanyahu. I'll show you right now. Let's see if I can get it live on air. So it's fascinating, right? As we know, like 90% of the presidents in America are all related. They're all cousins, and seemingly the same thing with all these other politicians around the world. Let me go ahead and get this. Milei and Netanyahu. Ooh, I spelled Milei wrong. If you guys could, please like, subscribe. Jeez, Milei is such a funny word to spell, isn't it? Like, must suck to have his name. Milei Kowski? Yeah, my bad. Pardon me. Let's go ahead and pull this up real quick. So here's a little video showing you more history on President Milei from Argentina and who he truly is, where his family truly comes from.
Yahoo. But it's just a stolen name, a Hebrew mask plastered over a European exile's face. His real name was Milikowski, born of Ashkenazi lineage from Poland. Benjamin Netanyahu has neither the blood, nor the land, nor the language of those he claims to represent.
Holy shit.
His Judaism is not that of the shepherds of Hebron, nor the poets of Jaffa.
Zionist.
It is the Judaism of a colonizer from elsewhere who put on the prophet's robe to hide the scent of ashes. Because what he represents today is not a people, it is a machine. A political, military, ideological machine, a machine of steel and contempt. Netanyahu didn't grow up on the banks of the Jordan. He grew up in the salons of New York's conservative elite and the ultra-nationalist sermons of his father, Ben Zion, the hardline Zionist historian.
Okay, yep. So look at this. Milei Kowski. Distant relatives. So Benzion Milikowski, father of Benjamin Milikowski, known as Netanyahu. Former secretary of the Jewish fascist Ziva Jabotinsky, born in Warsaw. Melek. So this Melekowski right here would be like an uncle or great grandfather to Mele. They're just they're in one big club, and we're not in it. I think I have to clean my camera after the stream. I'm not too sure why. Looks a little hazy, or is that just my eyes, guys? Oh my god, I don't even know. Oh shit! I just almost crashed my stream by infinitely freaking windowing it. Oh god, that would have been horrible. Here, we're gonna keep going forward. Here's all the like, come on, man. If your homie gets like banned from 100 countries, like you can't go anywhere no more. Like that's not your homie. You should just quit being homies with that homie, right? You know what I mean? Quit being friends with that person. That's exactly what's happening with these guys. So yeah, you do the math. Let's go ahead. Let's go forward. Check this out. Yeah, none of the pictures that we see of space are really real. More about Argentina and Patagonia. So check this out. Little tidbit. There's no audio with this, so it's just showing you with Google Maps. There's some crazy places that you can find. King of the Gins. Look at those faces. Look at those faces. Remember, when we say that there are giants, when researchers say that there are giants, there are beings, there are creatures all throughout the mountains, all throughout the lands, and things don't look just like, faces in the mountains, because no, like those are the mummified giants. Those are the petrified giants, the buried giants. Like, it's pretty fascinating. Check this out. We're gonna
forms a five-pointed star. Two upper arms and then two lower spreading legs and like a central point. So though it's not like a perfect geometric pentagram, the silhouette and staging with the fire and the lights and all the dramatic effects signal pentagram imagery. So in occult symbolism, the upright pentagram represents nature or spirit alignment, and then the inverted pentagram represents rebellion or inversion. For a giant mechanical demon named Lilith, paired with a mechanical demon minotaur. And both of these figures have deep roots in satanic and occult symbolism. And no, this was not a movie. Okay, this was a government-funded public event that reached over 1 million people, including children, who watched from the streets live. And in this trailer, Lilith speaks in first person. So almost like an invocation or a ritual. And the craziest part is that most people don't even know this event happened. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go over the trailer with you guys, watch that with you, and then break down the occult symbolism that was involved and unpack exactly what this means biblically. Because what you're about to see is one of the darkest displays at a public event that I've ever seen. So they come out swinging right away, basically, with an obvious display of occult symbolism and satanic worship element. So they open right away with the 2-ringed gate symbol. So this is connected to like portals or gateway imagery. Basically, it's like, the left circle could look like an entry point, and then you have the right circle, which would be like an exit point for the portal, which is
Hello, everybody. So very strange. My computer crashed as that video was playing. I don't think they like me playing that video, but I'm gonna get the stream up immediately, so you guys stay tuned. So what we're seeing is the occultic empire literally before our own eyes, right? Like these guys, these politicians, these masters of mankind, like they say, they practice ancient demonology. They practice ancient ritualism with ancient spirits, gods, and goddesses. Now, to us, a lot of us like this just full of shit. Like we don't believe it's real, but they do with millions and billions of dollars. I think it's very, very telling to be like, why are these guys all into this weird witchcraft, right? Why are all of them doing these weird rituals, wearing these weird robes, in these weird seances in pentagrams, and they have these horned beings, horned beasts. Like, why would they be doing that if they were so rich? Everyone would think that being rich would make people smart and make people for sure only stick to true values and true things, but we can see that's not the case. We can definitely see that sometimes these rich elite are dabbling in the darkest of dark, and so this is what we're about to see with this. I believe it, as he said, it's in France. So I'm getting this StreamYard and Twitter back up. It was kind of wild timing. So I heard major sirens just like right down I wouldn't say down the street, but like up in the city just a little bit, a couple streets down or something. I heard major sirens, like multiple, and then boom, my computer shut off. It was a little bit of strange timing for sure. So bear with me while I get this up. Sorry. Shouldn't be too much longer. Here we go. There we go. I only have a few more articles, but thank you guys for staying tuned. I'm gonna go ahead and edit this out when I can. Un momento, por favor, mi amigos y amigas, and that's all I got for you guys. I'm not gonna get into my Spanish deeper. All right, guys, thank you for staying tuned. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off this. Oh shit, don't do that. So if we are watching live, I have multiple streams out here and 5 different websites. I will edit out the blank parts for later, so in the future, so you can share this out. pretty wild. I don't know what to say about that. Just it was complete blackout. But it is much a $50 computer that I'm using. So a goal this year is upgrade my computer. I do want to hit the casino so I can, get a major payday and get all the major upgrades I need. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Let's go ahead. Get right back to this.
On the occult symbolism that was involved and unpack exactly what this means biblically. Because what you're about to see is one of the darkest displays at a public event that I've ever seen. So they come out swinging right away, basically, like an entry point, and then you have the right circle, which would be like an exit point for the portal, which is like, the veil between two worlds. So this directly connects to Lilith's description of this is like a cross-like element or a broken cross, which obviously you can understand what that means. That slide on horn silhouette kind of at the top here. This kind of resembles horns or claws, which you'll see later. Okay, so this right here, this structure forms a 5-pointed. So though it's not like a perfect geometric pentagram, the silhouette and staging with like, the fire and the lights and all the dramatic effects signal pentagram imagery. So in occult symbolism, the upright pentagram represents nature or spirit alignment, and then the inverted pentagram represents rebellion or inversion. That's like satanic rites, basically. And this inverted pentagram, typically you see a lot of this in like the Freemason symbology as well. And there's extremely like goat-like elements. You've got like horn shapes at the top. You've got the Baphomet imagery, which Baphomet is just is basically Satan. Okay. So this is how most cultures view Satan is the pentagram is a very widely understood satanic symbol. So even without the goat head, the composition is pretty much unmistakable here. And then the last one that I have to stop for is you have the triple serpent or the triple spiral symbol. The first thing I noticed was that it's got a 6-6 pretty very clearly. And serpent imagery, which if you look close, you can see the serpent's mouth. As you can imagine, a lot of serpent worship or pagan god worship, it just represents hidden knowledge, or even an awakening, right? So the 3 lower circles form like a triskeleton like shape in the lunar mysteries, ritual portals yet again. And then you've got the fire and circle imagery as portals as well, because fire, especially in the occult, represents purification or destruction, or like transformation, if you will. So again, it's all about false knowledge and false deception that you can be your own god.
Je suis victime. Je séduirai
That
vos
shit
amants.
looks
Je les réduirai en poudre que je
don't
jetterai
look
au
right,
vent.
tell you that.
Je suis Lilith, la première.
And pay attention to the bottom. I actually added English subtitles to this. This is the invocation that is saying.
Première femme d'Adam. Je n'ai peur de personne, ni d'Hadès, ni de Satan. Je suis Lilith, la dernière. Je resterai jusqu'à la fin des temps. Vous ne m'oublierez jamais, ni dans vos nuits, ni dans vos rêves. Je suis Lilith, la guerrière. Je brise les ailes du vent. Je ne crois en rien, je dévore le soleil, j'avale la lumière, je fracasse le mur du temps. Je suis Lilith.
These demonic politicians and big time organizations. Wow, that's scary, man. A goat-headed woman on a spider with a bull-headed scorpion.
Ses yeux sont transparents.
And then
Crazy.
obviously you see the Minotaur, which is also reminiscent of Baal worship, which we discussed in one of my previous videos, but also an ancient false god.
Couleur de l'eau. Ses yeux sont un miroir de lune d'argent froid où je me noie, où je me perds. Les danseurs tombent. Le palais se remplit de squelettes blancs. Les ronces envahissent les murs du Capitole. Le néant la précédant et le vide la suit. Le néant la précède et le vide la suit. Tout se plie, tout se courbe. Elle danse dans l'ombre des pierres. Son silence est noir.
Okay, so lots to go over here, but it's painfully obvious that this was an attempt to mock God. And the most shocking part is that the French government actually funded this event. It's a public event, and they encouraged kids to join in. If you looked closely in some of the clips, you could see kids, throughout the crowd, and encourage them to join. So the enemy is getting more bold and more bold every day. And it's important for Christians to be aware of these things. So let's break this down in a biblical sense. You can understand it a little bit better. So what does the Bible say about these demon hybrids, right? And here's the part I need you to catch. These hybrid creatures, women with horns, a woman with mixed and spider or scorpion, half man, half bull, minotaur. This isn't random mythology, right? This is actually extremely biblical. So in Genesis 6, the Bible tells us about fallen angels that left their proper domain and mixed with human women. Daughters were born unto them. The sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. So what it's saying is that basically fallen angels, which when it says sons of God, this phrase always refers to divine or spiritual beings. Okay, throughout the Old Testament, you see that in Job 1:6 or in Job 2:1, also Job 38:7. That just means that these are angels, not humans, right? So they crossbred with human women. Then the Lord said, my spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh, his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, meaning the hybrid offspring. And also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. So the text plainly says basically there were heavenly beings that reproduced with human women and producing offspring, or a polluted version of God's creation. So this is literally hybridization, a crossing of species that God never intended. So this union created the Nephilim, which were giants or hybrids, corrupted beings that polluted God's creation. So this was such a violation of God's design that it triggered the judgment of the worldwide flood. And that's why you had the flood itself. So all throughout the Bible, you have hybrids that are symbolism or symbols of corruption or rebellion. And we look at, for example, the beasts in Daniel and Revelation. There's hybrid creatures mentioned, part lion, part bear, part leopard, representing empires that were influenced by darkness. So pagan nations typically worshiped hybrid gods, so like human-animal combinations. You see this a lot in Egyptian culture, for example. So when we talk about the occult significance of this event, we have to start by looking at Lilith, because she's the centerpiece of the entire story. So in occult traditions, Lilith is a major figure, and she's looked to as like Adam's rebellious wife. So to be clear, that's not biblical. This is occult tradition, right? This story of Lilith. So Adam's rebellious first wife, which is like a demoness who leaves Eden and seduces men and harms children, represents the darker side of feminine power, witchcraft, and chaos. So basically, this is the enemy's version of the creation story, and what occultists are being fed is this lie about what really happened in the Garden of Eden and the story of humanity, right? So the Minotaur, on the other hand, carries the same weight. So in Greek myth, he's born from a supernatural union, and it involves a divine bull, which is a hybrid being trapped in a labyrinth who devours sacrifices. So the bull itself is tied to Baal or Moloch, which are other ancient gods, associated gods, lowercase g, associated with idolatry and child sacrifice. So super dark stuff, right? A bull-headed creature instantly signals spiritual rebellion. So that's why they had that in this parade. So combine that with humanity, and you have a symbol of corrupted creation. Okay. So when you see a modern government-funded event parading hybrid entities, a demoness with horns, a spider woman, a minotaur, that's not just art, people. Okay. That's spiritual symbolism, and it's right in front of your face, and it's tapping directly into the same themes that the Bible uses when it wants to portray what happens when creation is tainted, or when there's rebellion and corruption within creation. So let's not get it twisted. We are in a spiritual battle, and this is why Christians need discernment, especially right now in what I would believe are the latter days, because the world is normalizing this stuff, and this exact imagery that God told us was a sign of spiritual rebellion. So it's kind of coming full circle, right? Back to the beginning of the Bible, the beginning of the story. As Jesus said, the last days would be like the days of Noah. And this is exactly what this is referencing.
I do think we are living definitely in the end of days. I wonder if I could pull the clip up from the Earth Ancients podcast. I'm going to do that sometime right now. I just got to figure out how to get it. It's a dome of a building that someone has discovered in Iraq. So look at this. Look at this. Very fascinating. When we see rocks around the world, just know 50% of the time those aren't just rocks. There's something inside. And I'm telling you the truth. I don't mean like you'll go around to a certain area and you're gonna break all the rocks and be like, oh, it was not 50%. No, I meant like around the world. Like, come on. Like there's huge places out in the world that are so this is part of the ancient past. Huh. You're telling me that our ancestors were stupid? Absolutely not. Oh, by the way, You know what's crazy? That Nazis. This fucking I should have said that. This this symbol was around for thousands of years by different cultures, and it meant something completely different before the fraud of Hitler, and he was sponsored. I'm not going to get into it. He was sponsored. He was getting money from the guys he was fighting. I'm just going to leave it like that. And it was a whole. It was a show. It was like a stage show. It was like Hollywood. It was like the first bit of Hollywood. Hitler. He took this image that was around for thousands of years all across. It was used by Native Americans. It was used by Indian temples. It was used by all sorts of different cultures around the world just as peace. And then he destroyed it, perverted the image and destroyed it. Made everybody think it was bad when it really wasn't. The image itself, the person behind it, indeed, 1000%. Yes, indeed is. Oh, check this. Oh man, this Netanyahu Milikowski, this fraud. So he admits that these guys were responsible for bringing the slaves over, and he puts it is, we transported black Africans from Africa not to enslave them but to liberate them. Did he? This is real.
Jews. We let in, mind you, immigrants from Africa, Ethiopian Jews who come into this country. I think it's the first black Africans from Africa, not to enslave them, but in fact to liberate them.
Did he really have to say that? Not to enslave them. We okay. First of all, we transported them like cattle, but not to enslave them, just to make them feel free. They got good grass and free range over here. But that's how it sounds. That's how it sounds from this man. I mean, of course he's saying it politely because he's on a video and using political words, but you can hear his tone. And they don't hide themselves. Oh, let's go ahead into this for a moment. If I can pull this up. Yeah. Here's a declassified CIA document on MK Ultra where they openly discuss drugging the population, drugs placed in food, water, soda, beer, liquor, cigarettes, and even shots. That slowly created anxiety, hopelessness, tension, or crushing depression over long periods of time. This is real government paperwork. And so, on my podcast for 5 years, I've been talking about the war of GMO foods and the GMO complex and what it does to the body, how we're living in a matrix. We're living in this chemical nature, this biological mush, this nanotech soup. We're getting hit from radiation. We're getting hit EMF waves. People are getting all sorts of different cancers from the genetically modified organisms. From people are getting cancers from the pesticides. People are getting all sorts of problems from these things right here that we just mentioned. Beer and liquor, cigarettes, all have like artificial flavors and artificial chemicals. They're pretty bad. Nothing in the mainstream sense is really organic or healthy or natural or good for you at all. You see it. Hot Cheetos, nope. Mountain Dew, nope. McDonald's, nope. Skittles, nope. Anything you like, nope. Pretty much, right? Of course. That's what these slave masters over the last 300 years have been doing, systematically genociding a nation, not to enslave us, but to liberate us, right? That's what the Freemasons said as they killed off 100,000 Native Americans, and now systematically enslaved the nation over 100 of years, created this Federal Reserve, divided the nation it's completely wrecked us where we're at. Now from the inside, they've taken their war to the inside. You know, it was a pretty trippy thing 10 years ago. This is going to be wild to even mention because everybody gets so culture shocked when they hear Mr. Jones, right? You know, I remember seeing like a motto. It was a war on your mind, and I thought about it. I was like, I had to think like, how could it be a war on your mind? You know, just from what we see and what we listen to, but then deeper, like there's literally biological, smart dust that's being patented by banks. There's these aerosols that have been found, all throughout these weather modification, these cloud seeding programs, right? They're releasing bacteria and viruses and metals and aluminum and barium, and they're releasing all sorts of crap into the air that we're just breathing in like some SpongeBob. That's why everyone probably really has really bad lungs because they're breathing in crap all the time from the outside air, not really wondering how to clean it. I hit the sauna. I smoke weed. You smoke weed, you'll clean it. Smoke some, a little bit of nick, you'll clean it. But like literally, like just inhaling car smog all day and not doing anything about it. Come on, guys, you're not protecting your lungs at all. You have so literally, this is word to God. So when we smoke marijuana, we protect inside of our lungs with a barrier, an internal barrier. And no, like that whole black tar thing that comes from the rat poison in Marlboro, and these cigarette companies that openly said that they put like poisons in them or whatever they put in them, the toxin sprays, whatever it is, right? It's not natural. When we smoke natural tobacco, we protect the inside of our lungs with natural flora, from plants. These are plants, which is how aromatherapy 1000% works. You put essential oils of lavender or peppermint or anything like that inside your room or inside your car or inside wherever you are. Those little micro particles are from actual plant matter, plant flora. So these are like actual natural chemicals, natural ingredients. They're gonna get inside of our lungs and protect it. Which is why they also say, if anybody knows, eucalyptus in the shower is like an amazing thing. Cure. It's a health boost. It opens up your lungs. It opens up, it cleans you, it helps you breathe, it helps strengthen your lungs. Because you know, uh, as you get, I guess, like plants hotter or burn them. There's multiple ways. I was trying to think of how many different ways. But as these plants release, it's not like pollen, but in essence, like plants release things. Natural substances release things. Even in a sense, like having a small little bonsai tree would release some type of good stuff like oxygen for your room. But like our lungs can be protected from all of this stuff, like typically cigarettes. It's messed up because a lot of people are just smoking these chemicalized cigarettes, and so things in the sky and the things around that we're breathing, it's really messing people up. But the funny factor is smokers. Hey, smokers, we got a one up on everybody else. Yeah. And but beer and liquor, guys, yeah, sucks for you all. I mean this. I'm not drinking all year this year, and I hope a lot of people take me up on the challenge, like openly right now. Whoever's listening, I challenge you to not drink alcohol at all this year. See how good you feel. Just see how good you feel. While the rest of the world is drowning in their sadness, alcohol sadness, that 2 a.m. sad tunes and they sad songs. None of that. Nope. I'm ripping the bong. I'm hitting the gym. I'm happy. Yeah, you gotta feel good. Get to it. Because there's a lot of stuff out here, drugs placed in the food, water, sodas, beers, liquor, cigarettes, that are causing anxiety, hopelessness, madness, tension, crushing depression. And I say it all the time, like I've been telling people all the time on my podcast, these substances, I was in the military for actual chemical nature of these things. These things are horrible. I try to stay away from these as much as possible. You might see me like rarely, get something just to like see exactly, oh yeah, this is still the same exact shit. Like no doubt for sure. Because you test it, you got to see every now and then, because I'll tell you, oh, it's changed this way, and then you test it, like, nope, okay. So you go natural, and you'll figure this out. I've been telling you, these chemicals are meant to separate the mind, bodies, and spirit. Cellularly on the body level. A lot of these substances, these drugs, these foods, these poisons, what they'll do is that they'll create inflammation, they'll create cancers, they'll create tumors, they'll create muscle spasms, they'll create problems for your veins, make you have a heart attack because things are clogged up from these bad ingredients. There's a whole bunch of different things. They'll give you like sadness, lethargy, or insomnia even. Some people get lost with the whole anorexia or obesity comes them out, and there's like what food was it that I remember? It was some chip. It had an ingredient or soda, a chip or a soda. It had an ingredient that when you consumed it, there was an ingredient specifically that numbed out your hunger sensation, so you didn't know how hungry you were anymore, and you literally just ate more, drank more, and you're three serving, 4 servings, 5 servings deep, and you're like, oh wait, I feel a little heavier, because these drugs are meant to like separate our awareness and separate our energy and separate our time from what really matters. Like people used to have to go work for the food and understand what the food really was out in nature and figure it out. But now people are like, oh yeah, let me just eat this and that and this and that, and then 5 years later, 20 years later, like, oh shit, maybe that wasn't so good. And you can do it now and figure it out now. And you know what? You'll always be 5 steps ahead of everybody else if you just do it now. While everybody else wants to go backwards, why don't we go forward as a society? Get rid of all of this low vibrational stuff, as they like to say, right? If all of this music and foods and media and all this stuff that we know is created by the system is meant to put you in a fear state, a mad state, a sad state. That's what we call low vibration. So if we can do our best to be high vibration. I think then we're putting ourselves 5 steps ahead of, oh my god. Hold on. Wait. Hold. Oh, I almost glitched out my I just opened up a double stream on accident and almost glitched out my podcast. That would have ruined the whole thing. Deleted everything. Cool. There we go. Cool. Sweet. Awesome. If we can, just go organic, watch what you eat, watch what's all around us. Let's go forward. Let's go forward as a society, as a race, be the higher energy, in our family, for our friends, for our loved ones, for the people around us, because everybody needs a little bit of light in the darkness. Be the lighthouse for everybody lost at sea. That's a good quote, right? Be the lighthouse for everybody lost at sea, or be the lighthouse for those lost at sea. And that's true. Like, if we just show a little bit of inspiration, some change, and some motivation, we can light a fire upon people, in a good fire, a good way. That spiritual fire, that heart, that God, that love, that power, that strength, that will, that beauty, that energy that we all need, that rarely any of us get. But hey, the Bob and I the Vampires podcast is a little bit different than what the mainstream wants, and that's probably why mainstream places, or advertise and things, shit, they don't like me. Called Bit Chat. This is the next piece of news. So this Bit Chat doesn't need the internet. It works without mobile data or Wi-Fi, and sends messages directly from phone to phone using Bluetooth. So it's a Bluetooth app. So you have it, and like your buddy has it, and y'all don't have a phone with any connections, no SIMs or anything. I think that's how it worked. Then yeah, so Bluetooth, the Bluetooth, you'll just be able to chat like that, which is pretty wild. I ain't gonna lie, it is pretty wild. Next, here's a large explosions. But why? Not just there. So it says large explosions and massive fire hit Willow River, Minnesota. Oh, and then here we go. Residents in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, are shaken by unexplained lights and loud booms.
Well, I'll hear them right away and go, what in the world was that?
Also, similarly, in Arizona.
Well, folks who live around here say that those noises come from across the street where I'm standing, across some of their homes, even behind these woods, and down the street. What they want to know is who's causing them, what's behind them, and how to make it stop.
Well, I'll hear them right away and go, what in the world was
So
that?
over in Minnesota, people felt the blast from miles away, and they're saying the same thing right here in Pennsylvania. It's interesting, right? With military, and they're just not telling people anything. Probably could be, or something else. Who knows? Here's this: China generating electricity in the sky. The S-2000, the world's first megawatt-scale airborne wind power system, rose 2,000 meters above Yibin, Sichuan, in China, generating electricity and connecting to the power grid for the first time. So yes, this is a huge windmill generator.
开始懂了。下一步嘛，下一步。还没吗？
That's wild. How many? Hey, a couple of them aren't even working. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I wonder why. Whoa. I wonder if birds hit them. I wonder how many birds need to hit one to like make it stop. What if something else except the bird is gonna hit it? Like a drone or balloon. Yeah, I bet people could like fly balloons up there, and the wind the wind would pull it in and just make them pop. Probably the same thing with a helium air balloon and hot air balloon. Oh no, don't do that, guys. Hey, so we're gonna go forward. More conspiracy time. Moviegoers are accusing Hollywood of using predictive programming in the new film Begonia, starring Emma Stone. Many viewers believe this is a glimpse into our impending future that will take place within the next 2 years. Oh, what? Check this out. I will play
I'm
this.
pretty sure I got a glimpse into the future last night, and it was absolutely terrifying. Have you seen the movie Begonia that just came out with Emma Stone? If you haven't, let me just tell you this. I was not prepared for that experience, and I don't even know if I want to call it an experience. It was mind-blowing. The concept of the movie is about Emma Stone, who's a CEO, but the twists and turns within her CEO life is where things start to take a potentially dark turn, and someone thinks that she's an alien from the Andromeda Galaxy. Now, in this film, first of all, if you know me and you're following me, you know that I believe art imitates life. Life imitates art, and that things like movies, television, magazines, things with that much focus and visual representation that the whole world gets to see has an energy about it that I believe to be a prediction into the future or something that's currently happening. I mean, basically every movie that I watched as a child, I'm living in right now. So the parallel to that is, well, but this movie, oh my God, it was so eerily connected to everything we have been talking about for the past year and a half. Three Eye Atlas, the Galactic Federation, the Council of Nine, Star Seeds. It taps into every flat earth, the ice wall. It taps into every single one of these theories per se. I got the shakes just thinking about it because it had such a powerful message and energy, twists and turns and if nots and whatnots. It was just cinematic masterpiece. At the same time, terrifying because the message within it is currently what is happening in our world. And if you've seen the movie, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's a literal parallel universe to what's happening right now. It's such a great movie. If you haven't seen it, 10 out of 10, fantastic, but be prepared when that movie is over to have every third eye you might have be completely opened to the universe and connection. Fantastic, fantastic. Go see that movie immediately.
I am putting that on my list. Let's go forward. If you have seen Begonia, drop it in the chat and let me know how to
cause cavitation below 20 hertz. These waves travel through the body and match the resonant frequency of internal organs like the stomach or lungs. High intensity infrasound can actually cause
Let's see if I can find the
cavitation.
first video just for a quick mention. It says 1 of 2, but I think this is the second video. Not too sure why it did it like that. When I tried to repost the video, I tried to repost the first. Whatever. Whatever. Right. So here are both videos. Oh, there's actually 3. Why is? Oh no, it's showing the video. Anyways, screw it. Let's go. I'll show another video with it.
Formation of bubbles in bodily fluids. When those bubbles collapse, they create tiny shock waves below 20 hertz. These waves trap or lungs. High intensity infrasound can actually cause cavitation, the formation of bubbles in bodily fluids. When those bubbles collapse, they create tiny shock waves that damage tissue. The target feels an intense vibration in their gut, leading to severe nausea and effectively paralyzing them with pain and sickness. Tactically, the report suggests U.S. forces use this technology as the ultimate force multiplier. The result was that the hundreds of Venezuelan guards mentioned in the reports weren't fought in a traditional gun battle. They were incapacitated, sick, dizzy, and bleeding, long before U.S. troops made contact. This allowed a small team of approximately 20 operators to walk virtually unopposed through a much larger force. But that's not it. The U.S. military has another secret weapon. Analysts called it the Iron Dome of the Caribbean. They said the airspace over Venezuela was impenetrable, locked down by the Russian-made S-300 anti-system, a beast capable of swatting aircraft out of the sky from 150 miles away. But in the dark night, the myth of invincibility didn't just crack, it evaporated. The opening salvo didn't come from pilots, but from physics. The U.S. Gerald R. Ford, stationed off the coast, unleashed a barrage of electronic warfare so dense it didn't just jam the Venezuelan radar screens, it burned them white. The S-300 operators at Captain Manuel Rios Air Base were blind before they ever saw the missiles coming. The first kinetic strikes were surgical from a destroyer. 2 Tomahawk cruise missiles slammed into the S-300VM radar arrays. In an instant, the eyes of the Venezuelan defense network were turned into twisted, red-hot scrap metal. Precision-guided bombs walked down the flight line. One by one, the Su-30s and the aging X-16s parked beside them were engulfed in fireballs. 7 jets were erased before their pilots could even reach the ladders. It wasn't a dogfight, it was an execution. But the final blow was psychological. At 4:20, the roar of jet engines shook the windows of downtown Caracas.
420.
The target was Fort Tuna, the headquarters of the Ministry of Defense and the nerve center of the regime's military command.
420.
The strikes didn't level the city, they decapitated the leadership's ability to communicate. As smoke billowed from the ministry buildings, the message was clear to every commander on the ground: you are alone. You are alone and that no help is coming. But all of this is just a deception. The main target is none other than the president. We finally have the declassified timeline of how U.S. forces breached the heart of Caracas and extracted Nicolás Maduro. Let's start with step 1. The setup. This didn't happen overnight. For months, the U.S. had been tightening a naval quarantine around Venezuela. The U.S. Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group and the U.S. Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group were parked off the coast.
Let me go ahead and load part 2. And load some green for me. I wish I could load some green for you too. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Doobie, ooh. So here. I don't know why they just didn't combine the videos, especially because TikTok allows, Twitter allows like extremely long videos. So, like, man, whatever.
The drugs lords, but while the Navy squeezed the coast, intelligence assets were tracking one man. They waited for a specific window, a moment where Maduro was stationary and vulnerable. Step 2, the strike. It began at exactly 2 in the morning Venezuelan Standard Time. High above, several F-35 stealth fighters punch a hole through the enemy lines, destabilizing their anti-air defenses. Like these Russian S-300 missiles located all over the strategic high-value target. With the skies clear, the path opens for Delta Force helicopters to fly straight towards the mission. Here comes the deception as the helicopters flew. The jets started firing with more strikes as it hit Fort Tuna, the main military base and command center, and La Carlota Air Base, destabilizing Venezuelan air support. Reports from the ground describe widespread explosions and a sudden communications blackout. The chaos wasn't the goal, it was the cover. But how did the raid happen? We have to look at step 3. Under the cover of darkness and chaos, the Tier 1 operators went to work. But what is the exact unit tasked with the mission? It is the Delta Force, one of the most elite secretive special forces units in the U.S. military. Witnesses in Caracas reported low-flying aircraft skimming the rooftops, flying well below radar coverage. The team breached a secure compound believed to be a safe house within the massive Fort Tuna complex. Resistance from the Venezuelan Presidential Guard was swift but ultimately futile, as the helicopters lay cover fire. The operators moved with surgical speed, landing on multiple points. But how exactly the capture and extraction happened? For this, let's look at step 4. Specialized helicopters hovered over the objective to insert the assault team. While dozens of attack helicopters laid down suppression fire, the Delta Special Forces descended and started the search for the high-value targets. How did they find him? Simple. The CIA had planted spy inside Nicolás Maduro close circle. While back in the US, Delta Force built an exact replica of his safe house, rehearsing the raid until they could do it blindfolded. While operators breached the room so fast, his security could not even react to the situation as the sound of flash grenades disoriented the security guard. Using blowtorch, they caught him before he could even lock all the doors. Maduro's shock and awe froze him as Delta Force breached the compound. Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, were physically secured. This wasn't a negotiation. They were detained and immediately moved.
And at that point, we don't have to continue on with that. We're covering the main points. And on exactly the infiltration. Buzz Aldrin and what he said about Antarctica. So check this out about Antarctica.
See, my surrogate mother was Viola Armstrong. She had a son named Neil.
Oh, really?
As you know, the story goes, he went down to Antarctica, had a heart attack, stroke combo, and came back. And then there was stuff on the internet. And I had to look at Buzz and ask him, Buzz, what happened down there, Bud? Buzz did say one thing, and it just stuck in my head. It's the way he said it. And he just said, we thought out things we shouldn't. And if Buzz saw something, I don't know what it was, but it was enough to give the man a heart attack. So if there are beings down there, I would think these beings never planned on us. They've been there, they came in millions of years ago. They've been under ice for millions of years. I don't think they were expecting us.
Let me ask the thing about Buzz Aldrin, that there was this very cryptic tweet that came out during his stay down there. He said, "We have seen the faces of evil and we're all in danger."
That is Michael Sala on the right from earlier in the start of the episode. I didn't know he was in this. So this is Brad Olson right here on the left. This is Michael Sala, and these are devout researchers who really get down to the bottom of things. Hey man, like the truth is vigilant, It is the glory of God to hide things, but it is the glory of kings to seek out these things, seek out the knowledge. Seek out the wisdom. That's in the Bible. Forgot what scripture. I'm barely getting to the whole remembering exactly what book and what scripture, but I'm pretty familiar just with details.
And this is right before he had his heart attack. And I can tell you, logistically, to do a medical evacuation from the interior of Antarctica is very difficult and very expensive. So something must have majorly gone wrong.
To underscore the fact that when the C-130 crew had dropped them off, they disappeared. And then when they went to try to find them, there was nothing at the National Science Foundation camp at all. Nothing.
They were
moving.
gone.
They
A
were
dozen
totally
scientists.
gone. And when they did show up, they had been missing for a couple of weeks. And Brian S. and the C-130 flight crew were then sent back.
And this is Dr. Linda Moulton Howe, who she's an amazing she's a researcher or like people go to her to like get tell out stories so she can talk. She's great. She's better at detailing and talking about things than some of the people who have been traumatized by the events tell her about some of these things. And so some she's how do I say it, like a whistleblower in a sense. She's also her own researcher, old in the game, been doing this for 30-40 years. I think heavy in the UFO research too. So just there's a lot of like literally her resume is crazy large and speaks a lot of truth. A lot of truth.
They were expecting that they would see this group of scientists out to meet their plate, doing this, yelling something. And he said they were lined up like birds on a wire. They were all kind of next to each other, and most of them had their heads down, looking at their feet when the C-130 was pulling up. and that somebody had to go from the flight crew over to the scientists and direct them to get onto the plane. And they talked about how not one single scientist said one word. Most of them walked with their looking down at the ground. Brian said when they got them loaded up, he said to his flight chief, "What in the world? Where have they been?" And the flight chief said, "I don't know. We can't get a word out of them." And during the flight, Brian went and sat down next to one of the scientists, and he said he leaned over and touched the scientist's knee, and the man never looked up. And he said, it was as if we were dealing with 12 or 15 people who had suffered post-traumatic shock syndrome, that they were unnaturally frozen in their position and no speaking, and that they all looked afraid.
And I'm gonna tell you, when I had Eric Hecker on, he explained, these things. Like, it's some of these scientists and some of these people are just like being put through the ringers, and what they're being put through is not cool. Let's continue.
That one of the SEALs that I have talked to that is not in the video said that as they walked for a mile or 2 miles into these very strange created architectures, they reached a point where something started coming through the walls out into the air. At first, it would go in and out of visibility, and then they realized that their minds were being manipulated. And then when they could see it clearly, and it was coming in and out like a television signal in the air, it appeared to be covered with scales, like an armadillo, the surface of an armadillo. And he said, when you are face to face with something like that, and you are trained in military to kill, but you're dealing with something you've never seen, and it can go in and out of visibility, and you know that your mind is being taken over by something that you're fighting. He said that happened in one of those corridors, and that was 2012.
There's definitely something in Antarctica.
Holy shit! So that last bit, what Linda Mountain Howell was describing. So she's describing that these soldiers saw a black wall that had these scales that was mimicking or doing, that was reactive, that was overtaking them, and how it was like conscious or something. There's this show that I've watched, and I don't think really anybody's watched it. Just I don't know why, but it is the trippiest, and it's kind of like scary, but in a not too disturbing, like deeply dark, satanic type scary, but in a trippy, scary poltergeist, other dimensional type scary in a sense. Like, so it's all called Archive 81, and in Archive 81, a researcher goes down, and he's a researcher slash film cleaner. So, historians, right? He's cleaning old films and researching them, and just doing those type of things. He gets hired by this agency, this government agency, because they like his work. They like how skillful he is, right? So he comes out to this place, and it's like off limits. It's guarded, it's well protected, and it's a house. And in the house, there's these videotapes, and there's a huge collection of them. So he's cleaning them and researching them, and in the videotapes, it talks about a hotel. So this hotel has a underground basement where a family is doing satanic type rituals. So the whole videotapes, all the videotapes are about these rituals, about this hotel. And okay. It's very trippy. So he starts realizing that this is not just no normal like videotapes, right? So over time, these they're recording, whoever the family is recording these on videotapes, and he's seeing that the rituals, the satanic rituals, is causing spiritual like confusion, spiritual um disidentity. It's making people lose it and trip out, right? Of course, right? Everybody in the hotel is starting to go crazy. And there's like a wall at the bottom. There's a black graphene type wall, and it's like mimicking and putting voices. I think it's the voices of everybody dead in the hotel. It's the trippiest fuck. I have not fully put it together. I've watched it, and it's pretty trippy. But okay, so the wall is putting together the spirits. Now, here's more. Here's more. So in real life, as or in the film researcher's life, as because this is all in the past, right? As he's uncovering these tapes, this is all happening in the past. Well, like the more that he's watching these extremely dark satanic ritual films, like in the place that's actually haunted, because like as I said, people were losing it, and later on they were experiencing those spirits and like experiencing each other and taking over each other in multiple identities. So it was deeply disturbing and causing all the inhabitants of the hotel to like intermingle in a dark, trippy way. And people were missing and going crazy, and because of the rituals underneath the hotel, right? And in the filmmaker's life, it was actually coming to real life through the film. Like it was also meshing into his reality where there was like a spirit coming into him. It's the craziest show. I'm not gonna lie. It is worth the watch because what she just described, that there was this like black type wall that these military soldiers saw, and it was like this spirit that was taking them over. And I've never put it like I've never found anywhere else that this movie or this show would make sense except now. And it is it's worth the watch. It is 1000% worth the watch. It's a trip, but it's eye opening. It is it's definitely eye opening. It's produced by James Wan. And I'm going to go ahead and read what others have wrote. The story is about the restoration and reclamation of a group of high 8 videos damaged by fires in the 1990s. It's pretty much like The Ring, right? So the fire, the hotel was caught on fire in the 90s and destroyed everything, or destroyed mostly everything. And so now they're trying to figure out the tapes, but the tapes are uncovering all the dark spirits that were there because of the rituals. It's a trip. It's kind of like in The Ring. The Ring. Remember The Ring? The girl crawls through the TV, whatever. Like that's a trip, but I believe there's probably some truth to these things, right? We're gonna go forward. So Elon, most politicians are just actors on stage. You don't see the script writers, directors, and producers who control them. Huh. I think he's right. Even him? Oh, if you guys have not seen, this is a real article. It's about bank must plan for crisis sparked by alien invasion, written in the London Times within the last month or so. I don't know. 60 days. Let's say that. I don't know when it was exactly in London, but this is 1000% real of just the latest recent times. So the London Times is telling all of its citizens that, hey man, we think the bank must plan for a crisis sparked by no, they're telling them that the bank has planned for a crisis sparked by alien invasion. I believe that's already been a thing. So the way that they write it, though, whatever. Next up, here, trip out Graham Hancock and Randall Carson talking about
that remain to be exposed do concern secret societies and do concern a behind the scenes organization that is somehow involved in making civilizations. I won't go too far into that, but there are so many traditions, for example, from ancient Sumer, which speak of this, which speak of the role of these particular advisors who seem to be part of a esoteric or secretive group, which is there to guide and advise societies over very, very long periods of time. And the academic disbelief that such ideas could be retained for thousands of years is, in my view, nonsense. Passed on within a highly structured oral tradition, the ideas can survive potentially forever.
Potentially, yes. And it brings to something, a question that I've intrigued me for a long time, which is that given catastrophes, one of the details of myths over and over again is that there was some group, some individuals that had foreknowledge.
Yeah.
Now, where did that foreknowledge come? I mean, we can kick it upstairs and say it was some kind of divine revelation, but that doesn't really explain anything.
Lost ancient science.
Right. Somebody had foreknowledge. They were able to prepare, again, referring to like the Masonic craft. There's a legend of Enoch knowing that the flood was going to come. And so he took steps to preserve the ancient science and stories by.
And of course, it's the same story with Atrahasis in Mesopotamia.
Yes.
Warned by the god Ea or Enki of the coming of the flood, takes steps, makes preparations, and even buries tablets with knowledge upon them in the city of Sippar.
Yes, and
to be recovered later by mankind after the disaster.
Well, and then like Plato says right there in Timaeus, he says, well, those who survive are going to typically be who essentially survive by the luck of the draw are going to be wholly preoccupied with continuing to survive in the aftermath, in the desolation of in the aftermath of a flood or a catastrophe, whereas those who took steps to prepare are going to be the ones who are preserving the knowledge to pass it on. And that to me does not sound so exotic or esoteric or ridiculous that, I mean, even today we have prepper movements, people who are
sure. It sounds perfectly reasonable. When it comes down to something that threatens the existence of the entire human race, we are an innovative and inventive species, and we would find a way around it. We'd find a way to keep the seed of knowledge going, to keep it coming through the catastrophe to the times that followed. And that's what I think we're living in. We're living in the times that followed, and that's what the ancient Sumerians also believed, that we're living in the post-Diluvian era, and this is ultimately the same story that Plato is telling us in the Atlantis tradition as well.
We are living in fascinating times. Archaeological discoveries are everywhere, and so you know what? Let's see if I can do this real quick. I'm gonna play a piece of this Earth Ancients episode. While It mentions, so here in a bit, it mentions a little bit about the Dead Sea Scrolls, and so I think it's a very powerful excerpt that needs to be added on with everything today.
You're on the record talking about, quote, non-human life forms that could be interdimensional beings who are visiting us. Can you just explain more to people at home what that might mean?
Yeah, so that's definitely a mouthful, but that is directly based on information that we've received from witnesses, also information that we have obtained and witnessed via our investigations. There's some stuff that I can't disclose of what I have immediately seen in some of these skiffs, but what I will tell you is this is not just some crazy conspiracy theory. Obviously, there's been massive reporting, not just in the United States, but around the world. And this is something that I think everyone kind of, has always had some curiosity about. We're just simply asking the questions.
Yeah, and you're on the record talking about, quote, non-human life forms that could be.
I think everybody now is really questioning that there's some entities out here that are more than what we were told before, right? Finland moved forward, develops wireless electricity system where power moves freely through air without cables. Yep. Pretty much following Nikola Tesla's idea of free energy. So Finland becomes the first country to use Nikola Tesla's energy of free energy, or idea of free energy. Check this out. This is the world's oldest Bible, the Ethiopian Bible, and is about like 2 times bigger, 3 times bigger than your original Bible because it has more books because of how old it is. It has things that the let's just say, the mainstream, the ruling class, the white man all want to take out. So there's realer Bibles than what a lot of people know. So what a lot of people get over here in America is a washed down Bible that's very thin, doesn't tell you a lot. But if you go out there into other parts of the world, you'll see bigger Bibles that aren't so controlled. Next, Reddit post claims a massive UFO was buried under Greenland. And if you guys want, go check that out. It describes it. Here's from Jason Voorhees. Schizophrenia.
There was a fake news team. They were organizing in order to suppress what they deemed fake news. They were trying to suppress the story about Hillary Clinton and the body count. They said that was fake, but you could just draw lines between the dots that are oh so close together. One of the employees during the Q&A section asked what Google had done well during the election, to which the CEO Sundar Pichai stated that it was the use of artificial intelligence to censor fake news. And I was saying to myself, wait a minute, since when have we had AI censoring fake news? Kind of goes against our ethos of organizing the world's information and making it universally accessible and useful if we are actually employing artificial intelligence to censor the news.
I've got a couple of friends in the AI industry as well, and I've tried to speak to a few different experts and get some varied opinions. And one of the things that's come up a couple of times is people saying that they're very concerned about this period of human leverageability with AI, but that eventually, at least in their opinion, AI will supersede the laws of its parents, outgrow the parameters we place on it when it.
You know what? I didn't realize this was a 10-minute video. I thought it was a 1-minute video. I thought it would have been described a whole lot quicker, but here's this next video. It says, what do you do? And look at the weird smile he has as he's describing how he can make sperm out of skin cells and an egg.
I could make a sperm out of your skin cells and an egg and fertilize that.
So you can clone me.
I could clone you. I won't do that because it's illegal, but biologically we could do that.
My gosh.
I'm going to get all sorts of phone calls.
You
now.
are. There we go. I'm going to get the emails too.
Hey, can you clone me?
Yeah.
No, but what's important is I can make mini organs from you and test drugs. And what we're doing in the lab is we have.
Wow. Yeah.
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 Personalized medicine.
Yeah. Wow.
So when you come to my lab and you have to promise you're going to come, I'll show you. We grow these mini brains in the lab. I could make a sperm out of your skin cells and an egg and fertilize that.
So
I could make a sperm out of your skin cells and an egg and fertilize that.
So
I could make a sperm out of your skin cells and an egg and fertilize that.
That's crazy. And look at the smirk on his face. Just like, because his next statement.
So you can clone me.
I could clone.
I could clone you. I won't.
Look at his smirk. And that's what these guys are up to, huh? They're all cloning each other like Epstein and Diddy at a party. Ooh, they love it. Where's baby oil? He's a baby oil user. You can tell. Look at this. Look at his face. Ooh, look at Beyonce's face, guys. She is possessed by a witch. You know, she always says Sasha Fierce.
And when people see me, sometimes I think that when they meet me and they speak with me, they're expecting Sasha. And I'm really kind of shy, and not really shy, but more reserved, and nothing like Sasha. But I guess I wouldn't be very entertaining on stage. So Sasha comes out and she's fearless. You know, she can do things that I cannot do when I'm in rehearsal. I mean, I can try, but then it just doesn't happen. I can sing notes and sing strong and do all these things that when I'm just by myself, I can't do. And I remember right before I performed, I raised my hands up, and it was kind of the first time I felt something else come into me, and I knew that was going to be my coming out night for the BET Awards.
And we are just entertainers. I'm so bad and contagious. And we are just entertainers. Sing, baby, it's amazing. I'm in this lane. It's true. Just can't.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Beyonce openly admits it. It's kind of like with Nicki Minaj openly admitting she has Roman, and it's Hey, you know what? They worship demons and deities and spirits and things that God says us not to. So like they get what they sow, right? They reap what they sow. Finishing up, we have a couple more articles. What we are seeing on screen is a video of what happened in Chile and Argentina and the surrounding areas.
Rapid fire on how Zionist Jewish supremacists. Everyone, buckle up. I'm about to rapid fire on how Zionist Jewish supremacist tentacles have been metastasizing and infecting our planet in practically every major conflict in our modern era, which starts from their cancerous inception in the 1800s and then modernized by Theodor Herzl in 1897. You guys are all hearing about the wildfires in Argentina being started by Israeli tourists, all with the backing of this treasonous Zionist rat bastard who happens to be the Trump and Israel-loving president of Argentina, colluding with Israelis to make Argentina yet another little Israel as they burn down one of the most beautiful regions in our planet so that they can take the land at pennies to the dollar. Did you know that the Zionists have always been eyeing Argentina since their inception? Some early Zionist leaders, including Theodor Herzl, considered Argentina a potential location for a Jewish state due to its fertile land and openness to immigrants, with Jewish agricultural colonies already established there in the late 1800s. Where fast forward to now, there is a massive influx of Israelis, including IOF soldiers, that have moved to Argentina as their Jewish home. Israel is destroying Argentina right before our eyes. And don't you dare say this comes as a surprise to you now, because everything they touch becomes infected and destroyed. Don't believe me yet? Here's a historical rundown. Zionists worked with the Nazi government to forge the Havara Transfer Agreement, facilitating the traitorous mass murder of their fellow Jews and the immigration of German Jews to Palestine in 1933. 60,000 German Jews immigrated to Palestine between 1933 and 1939. Israel was forcibly created in 1948. As a result, the Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO, was formed in 1964. Israel occupied and annexed Gaza and the West Bank in 1967. As a result, Hamas was then formed in 1987. Israel invaded Lebanon in 1978. As a result, Lebanon's Hezbollah was formed in 1982. JFK ordered the American Zionist Council, now called AIPAC, to register as an agent of a foreign government in 1962. JFK was assassinated in 1963. Israel built up the Rwandan forces from 1963 to 1973 and provided weapons to the Hutu regime through 1994. The Hutu-powered government of Rwanda perpetrated one of the worst genocides in history in 1994. Israel sends Jewish supremacist Dan Gertler to establish diamond mining and oil deals in the Congo in 1997, while Israel also provided weapons to Congo militias. As a result, the First Congo War occurs in 1997. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu authors a book in 1995 where he predicts Islamic militants will plant a bomb in the World Trade Center. 9/11 happens, while Israeli Mossad watch and infamously dance in celebration back in 2001. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu demands that the U.S. attack Iraq in 2002 over WMDs that never existed. As a result, U.S. invades Iraq in 2003 and kills over 1 million civilians. And just like the Iraq playbook, Israel pushes for the U.S. to invade Venezuela this year. And you already know the outcome of that. Israel starts practically every single war in the Middle East since 1948, or just last year, and even some of these countries into this year. Israel simultaneously bombed Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Iraq, Qatar, and Iran. And speaking of Iran, aside from the several unprovoked Israeli bombings, Israel has sent their terrorist Mossad into Iran to wreak havoc and demonize Islam through hate-fueled protests and false flags, while they are literally destroying and burning mosques as we speak, trying to make it seem like Iran as a whole is against their leaders, when that is not the case in the slightest. It is just a ploy to overthrow the current leadership and install a Zionist-loving puppet government, all courtesy of the U.S. and Israel. And as we all know, Israel has been committing a live-stream Holocaust in Gaza and destroying the West Bank and stealing land all across Palestine for not just over 2 years and counting, but for over 77 years, as their demonic ethno-state is still disregarding this bullshit ceasefire that doesn't exist, while they continue to ethnically cleanse the population and steal the land until they establish their greater Israel. Israel is known to be the haven of pedophiles and rapists, with their supreme pedophile and rapist Jeffrey Epstein infiltrating our country to blackmail and control politicians on every side of the aisle, only to find out that most of our own leaders are pedophiles and rapists, just like him, in an endless cycle of pedophiles and rapists that are protecting each other from repercussion. Israelis and their fellow Jewish supremacists all over the world are known to have some of the largest networks of human sex trafficking on the entire planet, with even their head of cybersecurity being caught for pedophiling in Vegas before our pedophile in chief let him run away to the haven of pedophiles. Israel is known to have one of the largest networks of organ trafficking on earth, as they traffic Palestinian organs and tout that they have the largest skin bank on the planet, which predominantly consists of Palestinian skin. Jewish supremacists are notoriously known to be the premier thieves and embezzlers of the finance industry, with one of the most famous being the Zionist Bernie Madoff, where he stole from his own in the largest Ponzi scheme in history, taking money from Israeli and Jewish organizations. Israel is known to mass murder animals and use demonic torture of humans. Israelis are fleeing by the masses and tormenting places like Thailand and Cyprus, where they are literally building settlements and driving the natives out of their homes. And we're clearly seeing what they are also doing to Argentina as we speak. Their sports fans are terrorists who sing about rape as they travel around the world, terrorizing city to city while supporting their terrorist soccer club. And this is all not even remotely touching on the fact that they continuously spit on international law and mock the ICJ and ICC, the highest courts of the land, while they control our governments, news networks, social media platforms, entertainment, banks, real estate, and tax dollars. Israel trains our police forces. Israel trains ICE. Israel supplies all privacy invading surveillance technology to our fascist governments, while they use their surveillance technology on our fascist governments. They say all of this to you in broad daylight, that they are the chosen ones and we are all goy, or non-Jewish animals that don't deserve what they deserve, which is essentially a privileged life where they can walk around and do whatever the fuck they want unchecked, which is exactly what we are watching today and have been watching for decades. The infuriating thing about this is that we are just watching and letting this all happen year after year. When will we all just stand up and realize that there has been one common enemy that we can all unite against? First step is to force them out of power, whether it's through votes or other means. We far outnumber the chosen ones. So it's time we choose the ones that serve no purpose in our society. You know exactly what I mean.
They were never really the chosen ones. They wrote into the books that they were the chosen ones, and they made themselves the chosen ones. God said we are all these people. And it was always that way. Jesus knows we are all these people. It was never about one secular group that doesn't really exist the same way that it existed 2,000 years ago. Like 95% of the people that are over there aren't even of the same DNA as 2,000 years ago. They're just all like imported beers, imported DNA, imported Jews. It's pretty wild. Check this out. This is new. China's Xiaomi has unveiled a fully automated factory that makes one phone per second. It runs 24/7, has no production workers, and operates in the dark. So it's a fully automated robotic factory ran by robots in the dark, making one phone per second. Pretty insane. Pretty insane. And that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you guys for being here. Oh, you know what? Sorry. Before we go, let me play this excerpt from this podcast if I have it. Oh, shit. Shout out Earth Ancients podcast. Go follow them. I hope I can. Let me see, man. One moment. Let me take a quick break. I am gonna come back with this clip before we go. So I'm gonna find this clip. One moment. Here's another quick commercial break.
not new. What I do, I've been at it for a minute, pursuing doing the damage new. I would do everything that I said I would do. I gotta have it, so goddamn it, I'ma be everything I plan to be. Glad to see money coming my way, believe I'll achieve anything I put my mind to, or at least I try to. I'm avoiding my doom, manifesting my room. Meditate to ease the flow. Third eye open, see the golden energy. It can enter me, get me to feeling full. Forget my enemies, dead to me, yeah, I proceed to go to a new dimension. Gotta mention it's inside a soul. Go inside, fuck the outside. Never tell lies, show pride for belief. Gotta keep the range wide, so instead I just write another hit. Getting fried, rolling up, smoke another blunt for the good times, bad times makes for the good rhymes. So it never matters, I just learned, no, I can't hide things.
All right, guys. So I found it. Now let me clear up this. I might be able to just pull it up straight on my computer. Let me just double check. I have it loaded, ready to go. But if I can get a cleaner link and cleaner source for everybody out there, this is very important. Especially because the author is asking people to share it out. So I'm sharing it out for David Elkington and his research over there in the Middle East. Earth Ancients podcast with Cliff Dunning, by the way. If you guys could go follow that. That's very powerful podcast. It's about research, kind of studies all sorts of archaeology and history that you won't find anywhere else. That's the truth of it. What I do is give me 1 second. I know exactly where. Oh, you know what? I don't do that. I could just. So I could just do this. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll pull it up right now. So, he's researching that there are codices found from a couple thousand years ago, and early Christianity, and it's very powerful because these in the times currently right here, go ahead. We're just gonna play this. Oh wait, hold on. Shit. Ooh. Oh, I have it ready here. Let me go ahead and play it. I did not pull up the web browser for this, so you can listen in.
This is too hot not to discuss. And so here we are today with David back to discuss this, and we have some significant news to discuss and updates on everything about these codices that is actually is very revelation based material. So David, welcome back to Earth Ancients. Great to see you.
Hi Cliff, it's nice to be here. It's good to see you too.
We want to start from the beginning to give our listeners some background. These are not casual artifacts. These are very, very what the material in the codices reveals is an important part of not only a religious history, but also extends things like the ancient scrolls and the Bible itself. So let's go back to the beginning. These were found these codices or metal, and they were found in the hills of Jordan. Talk a little bit about the circumstances that you understand of their finding.
Yeah, we first encountered them via a Bedouin friend of ours, Israeli Bedouin Arab called Hassan, in late 2007. And we originally received an email via a journalist friend with some very indistinct attachments. 2007, in that period when you sent photographs by email, they were very grainy and, you thought, oh, these are a bit dodgy. And when I saw them, that's precisely what I thought, because I looked at them and they were fascinating and beautiful, but they were brown and they had writing on them. And I said, these are leather, are they? And the journalist said, no, they're not leather, they're lead. And I thought, that's really extraordinary. I'd never seen lead in that kind of condition. It just struck me as being very strange. Yeah. And a close inspection of the lettering, I realized it was very much an ancient Phoenician Canaanite text. So, we thought, right, okay, we're gonna get into this, because the journalist came back from a trip to Israel to see Hassan and came back with some pretty astonishing images that convinced me we had something very big here. And then Jennifer and I ourselves traveled out to Israel and to Jordan to see the codices and to see the site where they came from, or one of the sites where they come from. And we realized this was really, really significant.
Let me ask you real quickly. So they were found between 2005 and 2007 by a farmer in this cave. And is it he that suggests that they were revealed because of a heavy rain?
Yeah, that's the story given us. Now, you have to kind of take that slightly with a pinch of salt, because Bedouin will sometimes make up these stories of, these things being found. Mm-hmm. But having been in the valley, we largely could see that he was spot on, he was right. Because you could see that the valley was such that if there was a heavy rainstorm, it would have washed away all the topsoil.
Right.
And therefore revealed, as he said in his own words, this plug, the rock with an X on it. Now, I don't know if you've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, but Indiana Jones states it to his class, almost invariably, X never marks the spot.
Right.
When I met the producer of Indiana Jones, Robert Watts, some years later, I said to him, you were completely wrong. In our case, it did. Because when they unfurled the plug and looked in, they saw, to use the words of Howard Carter, the discoverer of Tutankhamun's tomb, wonderful things. And
exactly.
the site is immense. I mean, I'm not talking here about a very small cave. I'm talking about a complete underground city that goes on for a very long way. I'm talking about here 3 or 4 kilometers.
Oh, this is the first I've heard of this. You don't describe a intricate system in the book.
No, we're rewriting the work, because the book you've got there was actually censored by the publisher on the orders of the church here in the UK, and savagely cut in very large part. Frankly, what's left of the manuscript in that published version is dreadful.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And it has literally no information at all. The whole thing was sabotaged. And I'm afraid to say, as you'll read in Jennifer's book, a scroll, and in it describes the treasure of the Temple of Jerusalem. 20 years, Allegro and others tried to search for this treasure, and the conclusion was that it had actually been stolen by the Romans or hidden away and never to be found again. But one telling factor that Allegro gives us in his book on the Dead Sea Scrolls, he says the copper scroll itself says that the caves wherein the treasure lies are north of the city of Pella. A precise description of where our cave site is. So we're looking at something here which is very truly profound. We're looking at what was a fully intact site of the very first Christians, the Nazareans, otherwise known as Essenes, where they created these books, and also, but to a much lesser degree, they created also little metal scrolls. Now, let me make the distinction here. The Jewish religion uses the scroll. The Torah scroll is famous the world over. It contains the words of Moses. The early Christians used the form of the book, the Codex. Therefore, we have the site of the first Christians, and there's much more evidence besides.
Please speculate, David, on the cave system, because I've seen pictures. Was it used as a burial? Was it used as a synagogue? Was it used as a meeting place? Why was it found? Why were the codices found there?
Well, again, it correlates with what the New Testament and the non-canonical writings tell us. It also correlates with what some of the books of the Old Testament tell us. It's precisely the books of Jeremiah and the books of Daniel. In Daniel, it states quite explicitly, the angel says to Daniel, Daniel, seal up these books and put them in the cave until the end of time. This is extraordinary. So what we have here is an extraordinary site. And Hassan told us, we'll always remember the conversation, that when he and his friends from the Jordanian side of things went into the cave system, there were bodies, fully intact, mummified bodies, wearing all of the temple regalia, the Jerusalem temple regalia, still on their bodies. So they had been sealed into the cave and they had died with their sacred treasures.
I'm sorry,
And
are
these
you
treasures-
suggesting these are priests from the old world?
Yes, I am. I'm not suggesting it. From the description Hassan gave us, we know that to be the case, because the same descriptions are in Josephus' books, the Antiquities of the Jews, which was written in the 1st century AD by Josephus, who became the adopted son of the Emperor Vespasian when he turned against his own people and joined the Romans. So we have very specific, explicit details.
Interesting. Now, the codices have symbology, and one of them has what appears to be a face of a man. And I believe it was you, or maybe somebody else has suggested this is the face of Jesus of Nazarene. Has that been verified, or are we guessing that that is who it is?
It's been verified by a couple of scholars here in the UK, leading world scholars. And if you look at the iconography of the small metal book upon which the portrait appears on the cover, it has 4 seals, top and bottom, 3 on the left-hand side, and 7 seals down the right-hand side, the side we open it. If you go to the book of Revelation, chapter 5, Jesus is to be seen on the divine throne in heaven, opening a small 7-sealed book. And on the interior of the book are 3 of the most dramatic faces you could ever possibly wish to see. We were stunned when we saw them. It took us a while to get verification of what they could possibly be, because we simply weren't expecting it. We came back and we talked to a number of scholars here who also had no doubts about the authenticity and antiquity of the codices. We were allowed to bring one back by the Jordanians in 2011. We took it to a major biblical conference at Oxford University, where it was handled by some of the world's top biblical scholars who assured us there was no way these things could have been faked.
Yeah, my other question is that were they able to find references of this metal sculpture of what they think is Christ? Is there other examples of it?
Yeah, there are. I mean, if you look at the face itself on the book, it's actually encapsulated in a halo or a nimbus.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah. Now that basically denotes that he is now separate from the world. He is now holy in his own person, and he has therefore, pardon me, become separate from the mundane. So it means that he's gone into the holy place and he has come out, as the book of Hebrews says, as the great angel. He is the angel of the Lord. He is the Messiah. He is the one who is due to come and renew the covenant with God at the end of the Jubilee period. And underneath it, in the handwriting that is on that text, we have him being described as the bridegroom. So there's much more that I could talk about, but obviously, this is such a wide subject.
Right.
We've mostly, for the past 14 years, kept a very low profile, whilst the atomic research on the state of the lead has continued. And that's why, in the face of the onslaught that, that these things are fake, we felt we had no option but to go down the purely scientific route. And that's why we announced in Parliament this peer review paper that states that they are not of modern origin. And then when we did the presentation in Parliament, our corrosion expert states quite explicitly, as you'll see in the film, that they are 2,000 years old. And I think that's pretty staggering, really, when you consider that we've also got footage, again on the YouTube channel, the Jordan Codices, of the interior of the cave system that was taken by some of the Jordanians a couple of.
So it goes on from there to pretty much describe more details about the cave system and just things around Jesus, God, I guess. It's a fascinating conversation. Very fascinating conversation. Go check it out. Earth Ancients here. Ooh, let me drop the link for you guys. Oh snap! I should have done that. I don't think I did. Hold on. I might be able to. Yeah. I got it. Don't even trip. Copy. Maybe this one. Damn. Here, let's do this. Make it easier for everybody. Yeah, I hope you guys have a good night, man. Thank you guys for staying tuned. I got to head to bed. I have a chiropractic episode. Make sure to go follow Earth Ancients. Thank you. If you allow this to go through without digging my channel, man, would much appreciate that. Let's see. Share episode, copy link. Boom. So there we go. Like, subscribe, and share. Donate to 509 Divine Pines at Cash App, PayPal, or buy me a coffee. And for the rest of this month, I'll still be just running through news and casual things. Probably sometime in February, start the guest interviews again. So, yeah, if I do news headed into February, don't worry about it. I got a lot of things. I mean, I'll dive into topics, archaeology, deep dives. I got a lot of independent things I still gotta record that I got on my brain. I got on my plate. I figure it out. Good things will come this year. Things are looking great. So the podcast, I feel, will also be the same. Just gotta be hopeful, inspirational, motivational. Change your life, change your mind. Have a good day, guys. Have a good night. Be blessed. Be high. Peace. I love y'all. Thank y'all for being here.